Chapter 601-286. The Power of One Punch, Limit Sky Tunneling Technique /2. Yeah, no wonder the ancestor wanted to take Brother Yi as his disciple. With such talent, there aren't many in the Yu family, right? One after another, the young men and women spoke up. Meanwhile, at a distance, Yu Xin and the senior members of the Yu family were still somewhat silent. They were still thinking about Lu Yi's performance just now. Their strength far surpassed that of Yu Yuanwu and the others, so naturally, they saw much deeper into it. After the silence, that stunning woman from the Yu family looked at Lu Yi, her eyes sparkling as she laughed lightly. Hey, I was just joking before, but now I really think marrying him is a good choice. The old man's eyes flickered with shock. That power law, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably as high as 70 to 80%. Taylor, you major in the power law, what do you think? The burly Yutai twitched his lips fiercely, a dark look on his face. His power law might be even stronger than mine. You, at the peak of golden immortal, are saying your power law is not on par with that of this newly ascended heavenly immortal youngster, the handsome man said in disbelief. Yutai was covered in black lines. What do you know? His power law has probably reached 80%. Do you understand what that means? He could even inscribe laws within the inner world if he has one. The others immediately fell silent. Inscribing laws within the inner world is a technique only immortal monarchs could achieve. Yu Xin looked at Lu Yi, her eyes gleaming with amazement, truly a son of the heavenly Tao. With such cultivation, to have such profound comprehension of laws is unimaginable. The others nodded in agreement. We need to let this youngster marry into our Yu family. That will bring us closer and it'll be good for our family, the old lady slowly said. Yu Xin nodded. I'll go back and talk to Ling Luo. Everyone nodded in agreement. After Lu Yi demonstrated his strength, he immediately earned the respect of the young members of the Yu family. He found that these young prodigies of the Yu family were quite straightforward. If you are strong and talented, they respect you more. With strength and talent like Lu Yi's, they affectionately called him Brother Yi, which made him feel somewhat embarrassed. Upon returning to his master's courtyard, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu were waiting for Lu Yi's return, curious about what Yu Yuanwu needed him for. After Lu Yi finished explaining, both had strange expressions on their faces. Jian Ruyu laughed proudly. Heh, even a top family like the Yu family's younger generation can't compare to my Taoist couple, huh? Liu Ningxuang gave Jian Ruyu a disdainful look. It's not like you are strong. Compared to the Yu family disciples, you might not be a match. Jian Ruyu was philosophical. My man is strong. What's the difference between that and me being strong? Lu Yi nodded seriously. Senior sister, I think senior sister Ruyu is not wrong in saying that. Liu Ningxuang shook her head helplessly. Then looking at Lu Yi, she said, if you have free time, shall we practice the Yin-Yang Tao Seal Secret technique from the Tao Yin-Yang Immortal scripture? Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu were somewhat different. She wanted to become stronger so that she could stand with her junior brother against enemies. Hearing this, Jian Ruyu's eyes lit up. Right, you freak always cheat us into dual cultivation. We have to try the power of the Yin-Yang Tao Seal too. Lu Yi smiled. That works, we'll try it together once junior sister and Yunzai finishes their seclusion. During this time, Donggong Mingyue and Yunzai were in seclusion, close to making their ascension breakthroughs. Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu went to cultivate, while Lu Yi entered his own cultivation room to start tallying his gains. It has to be said, Yu Yuanwu, as a prodigy of the direct lineage of the Yu family, truly provided generous rewards. 1,000 star marrow, sufficient for Lu Yi to cultivate for several years. Designated law enhancement by 20%, and that too twice. These rewards would save Lu Yi hundreds of years in law comprehension. As for the immortal scripture, illusion demon scripture, Lu Yi took a look and found out that it primarily focused on the illusion law and primordial spirit Tao. This made Lu Yi's eyes light up, revealing a hint of surprise. The immortal scriptures Lu Yi obtained previously didn't cover these aspects, which nicely made up for his deficiencies. As for whether he had enough time to comprehend this immortal scripture, Lu Yi was not worried at all. After all, he could take on tasks which generally allowed him to obtain rewards that elevated his cultivation technique level. After tallying everything, Lu Yi continued his cultivation. During this period, besides enhancing his cultivation base through dual cultivation, The most important enhancement was the newly obtained golden immortal skill, sky tunneling technique. After all, the Jiyu battlefield was extremely dangerous, and Lu Yi naturally had to prepare thoroughly. No matter what, survival came first. The sky tunneling technique had to be cultivated to the extreme level. Luckily, Lu Yi had previously obtained the rewards of specific immortal skill level +3 and +4, which he hadn't used up yet. Lu Yi used one of the +4 rewards, and to this moment, the comprehension hadn't ended yet. It has to be said, a golden immortal skill like this was more powerful than ordinary immortal skills, and even with the enhancement in immortal skill level, it still made comprehension quite difficult. He had been comprehending it for days, and still hadn't advanced to level 2. Lu Yi thought it over and used another +4 reward. He decided to try and see if such rewards could stack. After all, he still had 2 more specific immortal skill level +3 rewards, making a total of 4 times of specific immortal skill level +4 rewards. Chapter 602, 286, The Power of One Punch, Limit Sky Tunneling Technique 3. Chapter 602-286, The Power of One Punch, Limit Sky Tunneling Technique /3. It was enough for him to experiment. After using another reward, Lu Yi suddenly felt a vast amount of insight about the sky tunneling technique emerge in his mind. He absorbed these insights at an extremely fast rate, and Lu Yi discovered that his speed of comprehension had more than doubled compared to before. Indeed, Lu Yi's eyes lit up. The effects could be stacked. Lu Yi continued to comprehend. 4 months later, Lu Yi had absorbed all the insights, and his sky tunneling technique had improved to level 5. Lu Yi didn't stop there, and decided to use the other 2 rewards that each added +4 to an immortal skill level as well. This time, it took him half a year to absorb the insights, and the sky tunneling technique was raised to level 9. Only 1 level away from the limit, Lu Yi checked and found that he still had 2 rewards left that could add +3 to an immortal skill level. He hesitated for a moment, but ultimately chose to use them. After all, the difference between a level 9 immortal technique and an extreme level immortal technique was enormous. The Jiyu battlefield was dangerous, and preserving one's life was the most important thing. The rewards, there would eventually be more of them. What's important now was to raise the sky tunneling technique to the extreme level. 3 months later, Lu Yi completed the final level up, and his understanding of the sky tunneling technique reached the extreme level. As the sky tunneling technique reached its limit, Lu Yi found he could more easily merge with the spatial threads. In fact, if he wished, he could alter the structure of the spatial threads at any time, even create a space maze, tangling them like a ball of yarn, preventing any cultivator from escaping. And naturally, the consumption of immortal spirit power when using the sky tunneling technique had greatly reduced. Lu Yi planned to try out the specific effects later. Lu Yi had originally planned to use the remaining 2 rewards for upgrading laws as well. But unexpectedly, strong fluctuations of aura from Xianxia and Donggong Mingyue reached him. Clearly, the 2 of them had also begun their ascension. The 2 rose into the sky, turning into streaks of light, disappearing from their original location, arriving above Jade Star where the heavenly tribulation gathered, drawing many Yu family disciples to watch. Seeing 2 young and stunningly beautiful female cultivators, the Yu family disciples were all somewhat astonished, not understanding who these 2 were. However, those in the know soon explained the situation. They were Lu Yi's Taoist couple. The Yu family disciples looked at Xianxia and Donggong Mingyue in shock. They knew that Lu Yi had previously defeated Yu Yuanwu with a single punch, a message that had spread throughout the entire Yu family, with even the high-ranking members of the family admiring Lu Yi's remarkable talent. The younger generation of the Yu family, naturally, had all heard of Lu Yi's reputation. They hadn't expected that these 2 were Lu Yi's Taoist couples. Truly worthy of being our sisters-in-law, such strong talent. Both of them are immortal bodies, right? And their foundations are so solid. Looking at the heavenly tribulation, it seems to be quite extraordinary, said Yu Yuanwu, standing beside Lu Yi, chattering nonstop. Also nearby was the Ling Luo Peak Master. At this moment, the Ling Luo Peak Master's face was very dark. She glanced at Lu Yi with a hint of gnashing her teeth and transmitted, "You little scoundrel, have you been speaking to my old man behind my back?" Lu Yi, with a look of confusion, replied, "No, what's wrong with Grandmaster?" The Ling Luo Peak Master was almost speechless with irritation and transmitted. That old coot has been nagging me to become your Taoist couple nearly every day. It's driving me crazy. I'm your master. Lu Ye. His mind was full of question marks. He really had no idea about this. Lu Ye felt completely innocent. After thinking for a while, Lu Ye said, "Is it because Grandmaster is worried you won't be able to get married?" The Ling Luo Peak Master. She gave Lu Ye a glare and said, "It's all because you showed such strength. During your exchange with Yuanwu, why didn't you appear weaker? If you didn't bring it up yourself, it's definitely because of that exchange." The Ling Luo Peak Master recalled that it was from that day forward her old man's marriage pestering became even more frequent. Lu Yi was speechless, transmitting, "I already performed quite weakly before." After all, he hadn't used any of his trump cards in the previous battle, not even the Immortal Ascension technique. The Ling Luo Peak Master. The atmosphere fell silent for a moment. Chapter 603, 287 Zhenan Battlefield. Chapter 603, Chapter 287 Zhenan Battlefield. Master, what's wrong with you? Seeing that the Ling Luo Peak Master was silent, Lu Yu was somewhat puzzled. Nothing. The Ling Luo Peak Master's chest heaved, indicating she didn't want to talk. Oh? The thunderclouds surged, and heavenly thunder appeared. Subsequently, the expressions of everyone from the Yu family turned to shock. Xuanbing Heavenly Thunder, Xuanian Heavenly Thunder, Rootless Purple Thunder, so many rare heavenly thunders. Could these two young ladies also be prodigies? The crowd was incredibly astonished. Whether it was Yunzai or Donggong Mingyue, both were struck by 4 or 5 types of rare heavenly thunders. This meant that, if nothing unexpected happened, both could even achieve the Golden Immortal or even Immortal Monarch level in the future. This was a once-in-several 100,000 years event of peerless genius within the Yu family. Although the Yu family also had a number of Golden Immortals lived for an extremely long time, often spanning tens of millions of years. With such a long time accumulated, naturally, there would be no shortage of them. But in fact, even for the Yu family, it might not happen to produce a Golden Immortal in 1,000,000 years. Not to mention the stronger level of an Immortal Monarch. Even for the Yu family, the number of Immortal Monarchs was extremely scarce. And now, both of the individuals in front of them possessed the potential of an Immortal Monarch level, which naturally shocked the Yu family practitioners immensely. Yu Yuanwu was completely stupefied. Brother Yi, the sisters-in-law are too powerful, aren't they? This is the demeanor of an Immortal Monarch. Lu Yi glanced at the astonished Yu Yuanwu. What's there to be excited about? Isn't it just the demeanor of an Immortal Monarch? Yu Yuanwu's head was full of black lines. Isn't it just? My goodness, for him, an Immortal Monarch was an unreachable level. His goal was to reach the level of a Golden Immortal, which was already very difficult. Among the younger generation, the only other person who had a glimmer of hope to reach the level of an Immortal Monarch was Yu Hangguang, and even Yu Lingluo, who was more talented than him, would probably only reach the level of a Golden Immortal in the future. And in Brother Yi's view, it was just this. He was very speechless. Well, those with strong talents are indeed capricious. The Ling Luo Peak Master was actually very calm as well. Previously, when Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu had their breakthroughs, it was similar to these two, and she had already calmed down. Under the astonishment of the crowd, after a long while, the heavenly tribulation of Yunzai and Donggong Mingyue ended. Both of them were not Lu Yi, and even though it was only a few types of rare heavenly thunders, the tribulation was extremely powerful for them. Both were severely injured despite using all their strength and the immortal artifacts given to them by Lu Yi. However, their foundations were extremely stable, having been built up by Lu Yi with a great deal of resources. Even with such a powerful tribulation, they still managed to get through it with light scares. Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master approached. Lu Yi waved his hand, and the All Things Revival skill was used. Instantly, endless green light enveloped the two. The next moment, their injuries were completely healed, and their complexions turned rosy. However, Lu Yi's action shocked the higher echelons of the Yu family in the distance once again. What a powerful natural law! Yu Xin was extremely alarmed. Although it's slightly inferior compared to the previous power law, it probably exceeds 50%. What kind of monster is this kid? Space law, natural law, power law, he has mastered each one to such a profound extent. That gracefully comported middle-aged man couldn't help but grin. This is the terror of being a child of the Tao. In his eyes, the laws probably don't hold many secrets, and he can easily comprehend them, remarked the elder of the Yu family. Right, big brother, what did Ling Luo say about the marriage alliance? With Lu Yi's two Taoist couples having such talents, it's like getting two for the price of one. A real bargain, chuckled that stunningly beautiful Yu family woman. I'm still discussing it with her. Let's try to persuade her more when we return, Yu Zin nodded. At this moment, Yu Lingluo suddenly felt a chill on her back, as if foreboding something not quite good. She looked around, puzzled, but didn't think much of it. Ming Yue, Yunzai, congratulations, you two are immortals now, Lu Yi said with a smile. Donggong Ming Yue, with hands on her hips, was very proud. HMPH, that lousy senior sister was just a bit quicker than me. Give me another 2 years and I will definitely surpass her. I'll show her who's boss. Yunzai laughed as she flipped her long hair. Thanks to you, Lu Yi. Yunzai was not as naively boastful as Donggong Ming Yue. She understood that without Lu Yi, she could not have broken through to the immortal level at this time. Just a few hundred years ago, if based on her previous talent, even reaching the divinity transformation realm would have been difficult, let alone ascension to immortal. Lu Yi, smiling, pinched Yunzai's face. Between us, do we still need to mention this? Yunzai's ethereal face smiled, nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, the Ling Luo Peak Master kept rolling her eyes. Am I here to watch you display your affection? Lu Yi was thick-skinned about it, unconcerned, while Donggong Ming Yue and Yunzai were slightly embarrassed. After all, the Ling Luo Peak Master was of master level, technically a senior. Lu Yi said with a smile, let's go, we should head back. But after Donggong Ming Yue and Yunzai's breakthroughs, they started to consolidate their realms. One day, more than a month later, the Ling Luo Peak Master found Lu Yi, her face darkened. My old man is looking for you. Lu Yi nodded, then glanced at the Ling Luo Peak Master, somewhat puzzled. Master, are you all right? You seem to look unwell. The Ling Luo Peak Master's mouth twitched slightly. I'm fine. Chapter 604, 287, Zhenin Battlefield 2. Chapter 604, Chapter 287, Zhenin Battlefield /2. She was speechless. Lately, that old man at home had been pushing her more and more urgently. She had to avoid him each time, under the pretext of meditating in solitude. When she saw Lu Yi's innocent expression, she felt even more aggrieved. What was so good about this boy? Well, all right, he was indeed quite excellent, but after all, she was this boy's master. What was the old man thinking? Shameless. When Lu Yi heard the Ling Luo Peak Master say this, he didn't mind and nodded. Then let's go. The two of them arrived at a courtyard and saw Yu Zin standing by a pond. Old man, what do you need this boy for? Yu Zin stood with his hands behind his back, looking at Lu Yi and chuckling. These days, Year has been at Jade Star for a while. Previously, you mentioned waiting for Yunzai and Ming Yue, the two girls, to ascend and then go to the Jiu battlefield together. Now, both have ascended. It's about time you fulfill your duty. Upon hearing this, both Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master were suddenly enlightened. Previously, because Yunzai and Donggong Ming Yue had not yet ascended. Naturally, Lu Yi could not leave them behind at Jade Star while he went to the Jiu battlefield. After all, going to the Jiu battlefield, unless one earned enough merits, would mean staying for 100 years. Lu Yi didn't know how long he would need to stay there. If during his time there, Yunzai and Donggong Ming Yue had a breakthrough and ascended, and they went to another Jiu battlefield, it would then become very troublesome. Although Lu Yi had great confidence in their strengths, considering they would face Jiu demons, he had to be cautious. Thus, Lu Yi had previously discussed this with Yu Zin. If it were someone else negotiating the terms, Yu Zin naturally wouldn't agree, but as Lu Yi was the direct disciple of the Ling Luo Peak Master and was highly regarded even by the old ancestors, he naturally could enjoy certain privileges. Usually, people needed to enter the Jiu battlefield within half a year after their ascension, yet Lu Yi had already stayed outside for over a year. In fact, if it weren't for Yunzai and Donggong Ming Yue's ascension, he could have continued to stay on Jade Star. Master's grandfather is right. Lu Yi plans to head to the Jiu battlefield, said Yu Zin. Yu Zin nodded slightly, then added, there are 7 Jiu battlefields in the Tianluo Star domain, among which the Zhenin battlefield is the least dangerous. The GU channel there is limited in size, allowing only GU demons of the profound immortal level to enter the universe. You should go there. Despite your high talent and astonishing combat abilities, your cultivation base is still only heavenly immortal. That battlefield is just right for you. Lu Yi naturally had no objections. To be honest, if he had been asked to go to a more dangerous GU battlefield, he suspected he might have to act timidly there for 100 years before coming out. But the Zhenin battlefield sounded somewhat familiar. Lu Yi thought for a moment, then remembered where he had heard of it before. Before he left Tiananmen, Bu Yunjian had mentioned that an immortal from the Divine Sword sect had gone to the Zhenin battlefield. Was it this place? Wasn't the immortal called Wei Kang? Since it happened so coincidentally, when they entered the Zhenin battlefield, they might as well check out the situation. Just then the Ling Luo Peak Master spoke up. "Old man, I plan to go with Lu Yi and the others. After all, they are my disciples, and I should take care of them. Moreover, I am only a step away from reaching the profound immortal level and need an intense battle to break through." Yu Zin paused, looked at the Ling Luo Peak Master and nodded slightly. "Well, since that's the case, you should go. Be careful." The Ling Luo Peak Master nodded slightly. "Go ahead." Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master turned and left. On the way, Lu Yi glanced at the Ling Luo Peak Master and said, "Master, I've heard that the GU battlefield is very dangerous. Are you really going to join us?" The Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at Lu Yi. "What, can I go?" "Of course not, it's just that I feel there's no need for Master to go. After all," he added, referring to what Bu Yunjian and others had said, "unless absolutely necessary, one would not go to the GU battlefield." The Ling Luo Peak Master rolled her eyes. "That's why they are weak. For the Yu family disciples, the GU battlefield is also a great place for training. Besides, although the GU battlefield is filled with numerous GU demons, because of its unique environment, it also produces some quite precious immortal herbs and immortal crystals, which are very beneficial for immortals." Hearing this, Lu Yi raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He had heard how the Bu Yunjian and others avoided the GU battlefield like the plague, yet for the Yu family disciples, it turned out to be a training ground. As for the resources mentioned by the Ling Luo Peak Master, Lu Yi didn't pay much attention to it, as the resources he had obtained from tasks were not few. Now he had over 100,000 drops of star marrow in his possession, enough for a heavenly immortal to cultivate to a profound immortal. However, Lu Yi was a bit curious if there were any task rewards for killing GU demons. He would know when the time came. Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master returned to the small courtyard and shared the news with Liu Ningxuang and the others. The four naturally had no objections, and both Donggong Mingyue and Jian Ruyu even seemed eager to try. I've always wanted to see what GU demons are really like," Donggong Mingyue chuckled happily. Jian Ruyu nodded slightly and spoke. "The GU demons we encountered on that GU island in the East Sea are still vivid in my memory." Liu Ningxuang and Yun Zai also thought of the GU demons they had encountered before. Liu Ningxuang exclaimed, "I didn't expect that in such a short time we would have already ascended." Afterwards, the group boarded a spaceship and left Jade Star. Through the transport gate, they headed for the Zhenin battlefield. The Zhenin battlefield was located in the northwest direction of the Tianluo star domain, and the star system where Tiananmen was located was in the southwest direction of the Tianluo star domain, a vast distance away. According to the introduction by the Ling Luo Peak Master, it was over 60,000 light-years away. Such a vast distance, even with established star gates, required several transfers. Fortunately, they were not in too much of a rush along the way. Passing through one star gate after another, they traversed bustling star systems and shuttled through space arrays. After spending a full month, they finally arrived at the Zhenin star system, close to the Zhenin battlefield. The star gates flickered and spaceships flew out. Lu Yi and his companions stood by the window, their faces showing surprise as they looked around. The area around the Stargate was filled with dense metallic planets. Ships were taking off and landing, creating a bustling scene. This region had dozens of metallic planets, with one every tens of millions of kilometers, extending far and wide and forming a territory. This is Zhenin City. The entrance to the Zhenin battlefield is on that central planet in the distance. This part of the cosmic space has actually been compressed by our ancestor into that area. There are 5 battalions of the Star Realm Army stationed here permanently to prevent Jiyu demons from rushing out of the Jiyu channel. Additionally, the Star Gate is in this area, with several Star Realm army bases nearby, so support is quick, explained the Ling Luo Peak Master. Lu Yi and the others nodded slightly, looking at the central area of these metallic planets. One planet there was strikingly different from the others, emitting a strange, ominous black mist. Even from such a distance, they could feel a hint of sinister aura. It really is the Jiyu channel, Liu Ningxuang frowned and spoke. As someone who had experienced Jiyu firsthand on Mist Island, Liu Ningxuang remembered the aura of Jiyu well. The Ling Luo Peak Master casually said, "This is just the outside. If you enter the Jiyu battlefield, you can hear the whispers of Jiyu anytime. The deeper you go, the more voices you hear, and the more complex they become. Heavenly Immortal level warriors after entering the Jiyu battlefield can only stay for a year at most before they need to take a break. Otherwise, they will be corrupted by the Jiyu demons, eventually turning into demons themselves." Hearing this, Lu Yi and the group of 4 exchanged glances, all feeling a bit of a chill on their scalps. Even Heavenly Immortal level warriors could only stay inside for a year, which spoke volumes of the danger. As a Heavenly Immortal, coming to the Jiyu battlefield requires you to register first. "Let's go," he added. The spaceship glided through the vacuum, heading towards a massive metallic planet. Registration was simple, just a matter of reporting their specific information to the Yu family army stationed there. Upon learning that the newcomers were the second lady of the Yu family and her companions, the Yu family army was initially stunned, but they quickly recovered and continued with the registration. After all, as previously mentioned by the Ling Luo Peak Master, the Yu family disciples treated the Jiyu battlefield as a training ground. After the registration, the mandatory service officially began. Chapter 605, 288 Deep Erosion, the Other Side of the Jiyu Channel. Chapter 605, Chapter 288 Deep Erosion, the Other Side of the Jiyu Channel. Ling Luo Peak Master led Lu Yi and his group to the outer perimeter of Zhenin Star. Starting from here, the defenses were much stricter, and Yu family army ships were everywhere, patrolling the area. While the strength of the great power-level Yu family army might not seem too strong to an immortal, it was almost sufficient for patrolling the outer perimeter of the planet. In the outer perimeter of Zhenin Star, Lu Yi could clearly see that the space around the entire planet was distorted in an irregular manner. The densely intertwined space lines wrapped around the surrounding area, encapsulating it entirely as if it enclosed another world. Having heard from Ling Luo Peak Master before that the Jiyu battlefield was isolated by an immortal venerable level powerhouse to form a separate world, Lu Yi was not surprised. The entire Zhenin Star appeared to be a normal planet, but in reality, due to the distortion of space, there was only one true entrance to the Zhenin battlefield. At the entrance, there were quite a few immortals coming and going. The ones entering had grave expressions, while those leaving were pallid, and there were also some with gloomy expressions. There was also a detachment of the Star Realm army stationed at the exit. The Star Realm soldiers held a peculiar mirror-like cultivation treasure and moved it back and forth over the immortals that passed by, their expressions stern. Seeing this detachment of Star Realm soldiers, Lu Yi was stunned for a moment, not expecting to encounter an acquaintance. The captain of the Star Realm army turned out to be Wang Yuanyuan, who was the Star Realm army captain of the 6th Legion during the previous great battle with the Rashomon clan. Wang Yuanyuan, seeing Lu Yi and the others, was also taken aback, then immediately flashed a brilliant smile. "Second Miss, young Master Lu Yi, what brings you here?" Ling Luo Peak Master also had some impression of Wang Yuanyuan and nodded slightly to her. Lu Yi smiled and said, "I've ascended and have come to the Jiyu battlefield to fulfill my duty." Hearing this, the members of the Star Realm army all showed looks of astonishment. "You ascended? Young Master Lu Yi's cultivation speed is truly fast," Wang Yuanyuan couldn't help but exclaim. After all, Lu Yi had only been at the Tribulation Transcendence realm level, and not at a particularly high level at that. Lu Yi smiled. "This cultivation speed is only average." Wang Yuanyuan was about to say something else when suddenly, the mirror-like cultivation treasure flashed with a dazzling golden light, casting its beam on a cultivator who was walking out of the exit. This cultivator had 2 pairs of arms and a flat nose, clearly not of the human clan. There was another companion beside him. As soon as the golden light shone on the 4-handed monk, he immediately let out a low roar, a dense black mist emanating from his body, with Ji Qi surging forth, causing all nearby cultivators to widen their eyes and quickly distance themselves. "Snow, don't be controlled," his companion tried to waken him, shouting out loud. However, it was useless. The four-handed monk had already been eroded by the Ji Qi, with black mist swirling around him and his aura surging as he reached out to grab his companion. His companion had no choice but to clash with him, spitting blood as he was sent flying backwards. "Deep erosion, take him out," Wang Yuanyuan ordered with a cold expression. Several members of the Star Realm army were already prepared, their immortal spirit power bursting forth, firmly locking on to the four-handed monk. "Star Realm army, you dare to stop me?" The eyes of the four-handed monk became completely black, with wisps of black mist seeping out from his pupils. The fearsome Ji power erupted. However, the Star Realm army, having experienced this many times before, remained calm, forming a battle formation, and their strength surged. Amidst the brilliance of spiritual power, thunderous sounds reverberated through the starry sky. In just a few exchanges, the four-handed monk screamed pitifully and was then completely slain. Seeing this scene, the companion of the four-handed monk coughed up blood, revealing a look of sorrow. Nevertheless, it wasn't long before 4 soldiers of the Star Realm army stopped the fallen four-handed monk's companion. Wang Yuanyuan said indifferently, "Take him away for imprisonment and carefully observe for signs of infection." The companion of the four-handed monk accepted his fate tranquilly, apparently having anticipated this situation, and did not resist. In fact, even if he had wanted to resist, he stood no chance against the 4 soldiers of the Star Realm army. Only after the companion of the four-handed monk was taken away did order resume at the entrance. Wang Yuanyuan looked at Lu Yi and the others and apologized with a smile. "I'm sorry for letting Second Miss and young Master Lu Yi witness such a scene." Ling Luo Peak Master shook her head slightly. "You did well." Then she turned to Lu Yi and cautioned, "The Ji battlefield is filled with Ji power, and even immortals cannot stay too long within it, or they will suffer deep erosion like the four-handed monk just now. Remember, if you feel discomfort, you must leave the Ji battlefield and come back outside to recover." Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang, among others, all nodded their heads. The sight of the four-handed monk had been etched into their minds, giving them a chill. They hadn't expected Ji Qi to be so terrifying. However, what surprised Lu Yi was that despite being so close to the Ji Qi this time, and even hearing strange whispers in his ears, he still didn't feel anything unusual. This was different from what he had encountered in Jiu's land before. Then Lu Yi thought it might be because his own strength had increased, and he didn't pay too much attention to it. Soon after, Lu Yi and the others bid farewell to Wang Yuanyuan and her team, and entered the Zhenan battlefield through the entrance. The entrance was a space gate. Passing through the space gate was like traversing a space array, coming into a strange world. The sky in this world was a color of gray despair, filled with black mist, and where they stood was a square. Chapter 606, 288 Deep Erosion, the other side of the Jiu Channel 2. Chapter 606, Chapter 288 Deep Erosion, the other side of the Jiu Channel /2. Surrounding the square was a massive fortress made of metal. As an artifact refiner, Lu Yi had a discerning eye, and he immediately realized that these were all made of immortal gold. He was a bit surprised in his heart. Could it be that this enormous fortress was entirely constructed from immortal gold? Even if it wasn't a planet fortress, the difference wasn't that much. Weird array patterns were engraved throughout the fortress. These array patterns were something Lu Yi had never seen before, which made him somewhat astonished. Seeing this, Ling Luo Peak Master explained, "These are array patterns designed to disperse the Jiu Qi. Generally speaking, cultivators who have been corrupted by Jiu will struggle to conceal their true forms within such a great array, though there are exceptions. Therefore, at the exit, there are specially crafted cultivation treasures dedicated to detecting whether a cultivator has been corrupted by the Jiu Qi." East Palace Ming Yue curiously asked, "Master, are there cases where cultivators corrupted by Jiu haven't been detected by it?" Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at East Palace Ming Yue and raised her eyebrows. "Of course there are. Although that treasure is not weak, the Jiu Qi is very peculiar and might not be fully detectable. Some cultivators tainted by the Jiu Qi have left the Jiu battlefield, causing some trouble. Right? Wang Jianyuan of the Immortal Sword Sect was one such case. He returned to Tiananmen and ultimately led to the destruction of the Immortal Sword Sect himself." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi and the others all suddenly understood. Liu Ningxuang, with a worried frown, said, "With so many defenses, we are still unable to completely block the corruption of the Jiu Qi. This Jiu Qi is truly terrifying. Naturally, or else it wouldn't be feared by all the forces across the universe." Ling Luo Peak Master shook her head helplessly and continued, "The Jiu demons are inexhaustible. Once, an immortal venerable slaughtered all the demons in a Jiu battlefield, but within a few years, new demons had emerged. Cultivators must be constantly dispatched here to kill the Jiu demons." Lu Yi, somewhat curious, asked, "Master, can't we pass through the Jiu channel and take a look at the world where the Jiu demons reside?" Hearing this, Ling Luo Peak Master fell silent before her expression turned serious. "It's not that there haven't been attempts. Although I haven't seen it myself, legend has it that over 1 billion years ago, a powerful team composed of immortal venerables ventured into Jiu's land." And then, Giant Ruyu's eyes widened with curiosity. "They all died, not one returned," Ling Luo Peak Master said calmly. For a moment, Lu Yi and the others fell silent. If so many immortal venerables hadn't managed to come back, just how terrifying was the Jiu world? Lu Yi and the others felt their scalps tingle. Even Lu Yi was terrified. Ling Luo Peak Master spoke again. "Over the years, all the major powers in the universe have been researching Jiu's land, and have discovered that the Jiu channel only blocks Jiu demons. Some powerful Jiu demons cannot pass through the weak Jiu channel to enter our world, similar to this end battlefield. However, we can freely cross the Jiu channel, as if some power is blocking the Jiu demons, protecting our universe." Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang exchanged glances with the other two. "But if the situation remains as it is now, then as long as we control the Jiu battlefield well, we don't need to worry too much about the Jiu demons, right?" Yunzai ventured. Lu Yi and the others nodded slightly in agreement. Upon hearing this, Ling Luo Peak Master's mouth twitched, and with a head full of black lines, she said helplessly, "Then you are thinking too simply. The Jiu channels are gradually increasing, and there will be more and more in the future." "What?" On hearing this, Lu Yi and the others exclaimed in shock. "You remember that patch of Jiu's land on Tiananmen? That was the prelude to the formation of a Jiu channel. Now we can still seal that exit with a great array, but it won't be long before the exit will gradually expand, and even the great array will be insufficient to seal it. We can only completely seal that space and turn it into a Jiu battlefield," Ling Luo Peak Master said with a serious expression. Lu Yi and the others widened their eyes in astonishment. "What? Tiananmen will become a Jiu battlefield in the future? What about the creatures of Tiananmen?" Lu Yi and the others could hardly accept it for a moment. Ling Luo Peak Master continued, "This is not something you need to worry about. When the Great Array can't hold anymore, someone will take the creatures from that planet away." Then Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi and said with a light laugh, "However, to tell the truth, Tiananmen owes you a lot, Lu Yi." Me? Lu Yi looked puzzled. "Of course. Generally speaking, when a Jiu channel appears on a mortal star, it expands rapidly, but on an immortal star, the expansion slows down considerably. The immortal spirit Qi inhibits the spread of Jiu Qi. When you ascended, you elevated Tiananmen from a mortal star to an immortal star, allowing Tiananmen to exist for a much longer time." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi suddenly understood and felt somewhat helpless inside. "Unfortunately, there's no way to block the Jiu channel." Ling Luo Peak Master rolled her eyes. "Stop dreaming about that. Unless you can enter the other side of the Jiu channel and see for yourself how it formed." The corner of Lu Yi's mouth twitched, and he was full of black lines. "How am I supposed to get there? Even teams of immortal venerables get annihilated in instances, let alone him, a weak heavenly immortal chicken. Was he supposed to go and get killed?" Nevertheless, Lu Yi took note of this matter in his heart. He felt that, with his current cultivation-based talent, and having absorbed the foundations of a Tao treasure and a Chaos treasure, not to brag, but becoming an immortal king or even an immortal emperor shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? Once he became an immortal emperor, perhaps he could learn about the situation over there. He still needed to cultivate diligently. Otherwise, if Jiu channels appeared everywhere in the universe would be doomed sooner or later. Enough about that. How do you all feel now? Ling Luo Peak Master changed the subject from the Jiu channel and looked at Lu Yi and his companions to ask. Lu Yi was taken aback, somewhat unclear of Ling Luo Peak Master's intentions. Liu Ningxuang furrowed her brows and spoke up. I can feel Jiu Qi gathering, but we can still withstand it. Same here, Jian Ruyu nodded slightly. Yunzai and Donggong Mingyue also nodded, indicating they felt the same. Only then did Lu Yi understand that his master was referring to the problem of Jiu Qi's erosion. His expression turned a bit odd. He felt no discomfort whatsoever, as if Jiu Qi did not exist at all. Right? Why does it feel like Jiu Qi is non-existent? Only now did Lu Yi realize, and he looked around with a strange expression on his face. This was the Jiu battlefield, what was going on. Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi but did not question further. You lad will certainly have no problems. Lu Yi nodded. It was not just a lack of problems, it was suspiciously problem-free. He felt no different from being outside. Ling Luo Peak Master seriously turned to Donggong Mingyue and Yunzai. You two just ascended and are the weakest. Your resistance to Jiu's erosion is also the weakest. If you can't hold on, you must speak up. Otherwise, if the Jiu Qi deeply erodes you, no one can save you, not even this lad Lu Yi. Donggong Mingyue and Yunzai immediately nodded earnestly. They were well aware of how terrifying Jiu Qi was, and dared not take it lightly. All right, let's move on. Ling Luo Peak Master then led Lu Yi and the others away from the square. She explained, this is the base camp of the Jiu battlefield, where all the immortals who come in can rest and recover. If they're on mission, they must kill 100 Jiu demons of the same level and stay for a full 100 years. If they exceed that, merit is calculated. With enough merit, one can leave early. If they're here for training, then there are no such restrictions, and they can leave at any time. Master, what should we do now? Go out and kill Jiu demons. Donggong Mingyue appeared eager to try. At this moment, Lu Yi thought of something and said, Right, Master, previously, a cultivator from Divine Sword Sect named Bu Yunjian asked me for a favor. He said if I came to the Zhenan battlefield to find a Divine Sword Sect immortal named Wei Kang. How should I go about finding someone? Looking for someone. We just need to check at the base camp's registration office. All the immortals need to record their rest time to prevent erosion and various accidents. I see, let's go take a look then, Lu Yi said with a smile. Chapter 607, 289, First Encounter with the Jiu Demons. Chapter 607, Chapter 289, First Encounter with the Jiu Demons. Under the guidance of the Ling Luo Peak Master, they quickly entered one of the metallic fortresses. Inside the metal fortress, members of the Yu family army of at least heavenly immortal level were patrolling. The Ling Luo Peak Master explained that within this base, members of the Yu family army of heavenly immortal level would also rotate once a year to avoid erosion by the Jiu Qi. Besides the Yu family army, there were also a full 4 teams of the Star Realm army stationed here. It should be known that the weakest members of the Star Realm army are of true immortal level strength, and a single team of the Star Realm army in battle formation can even contend with an average profound immortal. A full 4 teams of the Star Realm army constituted a very powerful force. Within the fortress, the Ling Luo Peak Master presented her identity token, and with her position as the second young lady of the Yu family, she was naturally treated with respect by the Yu family army. They quickly brought them to the registration office. The registration office was staffed by cultivators of at least heavenly immortal level. All cultivators who returned to or left the base had to register. The registration was executed using a magic artifact, which overall was quite convenient. Greetings to the second young lady. Greetings to young Master Lu Yi. The one who hurried over upon receiving the news was Captain Song Daheng of the 12th Company of the 6th Legion, who was also an acquaintance. Lu Yi wasn't surprised, as he had already seen Wang Yuanyuan outside. It was likely that this part of the Jiu battlefield was under the protection of the 12th Company. Lu Yi smiled and greeted, Captain Song, long time no see. Ha, yes, it's been over 200 years since I last saw young Master Lu Yi in the Tiananmen star system, right? Who would have thought that in just over 200 years, young Master Lu Yi would have ascended? Such talent is truly enviable, Song Daheng said with a smile. In his heart, Song Daheng was equally astonished. The last time he saw Lu Yi in the Tiananmen star system, Lu Yi had displayed terrifyingly powerful strength that he still couldn't forget to this day. The only slight deficiency Lu Yi had at that time was his cultivation base. Unexpectedly, in just over 200 years, upon meeting again, Lu Yi was now a heavenly immortal. 200 years for immortals. was merely the time for one closed-door cultivation session. Such a speed of cultivation was truly astonishing. Second young lady, young Master Lu Yi, have you come to the registration office for some matter? Song Deheng inquired. It's like this. I'm looking for someone named Wei Kang, a member of the human clan with a cultivation level around the heavenly immortal level. Song Deheng immediately looked towards the heavenly immortal working at the registration office. A white jade sphere floated in front of the heavenly immortal, who touched it repeatedly, causing array patterns to emerge, and swiftly various pieces of information appeared in the air. As Lu Yi watched, some understanding dawned on him. In his previous studies of formations, due to the innate array patterns, the formations he practiced were mostly offensive, including very few defensive ones. The array patterns before him should be categorized as auxiliary. Although Lu Yi was not very familiar with them, his foundation in array Tao was quite solid, even able to refine formation treasures of true immortal level, and he could vaguely understand them. This magic artifact functioned like the Jade tokens of the White Cloud sect, which could also record a large amount of information. However, compared to the Jade tokens of the White Cloud sect, it was obviously more mysterious and complex, and the information recorded within was probably more abundant. Soon, the heavenly immortal staff member found news on Wei Kang. Found him. Human Clan's Wei Kang, heavenly immortal 6th layer cultivation from Tiananmen Divine Sword sect. Currently, he is working as a high-level guard for the Three-Eyed Clan's cross-union. Young Master Lu Yi, is he the one you are looking for? Lu Yi's eyes brightened and he nodded. Yes, that's him. Wei Kang left the base with others 1.5 months ago and entered Jiyu's land. According to previous information, Wei Kang has spent 15 years in the Zhenan battlefield. Each time he leaves the base, he returns within 6 months to 10 months. Since he has gone out, it may take some time before he can return, the staff member informed. Upon hearing this, Lu Yi nodded slightly. I see. Then he said, since that's the case, when he comes back to register, tell him not to leave the base again and wait for me to return. Upon hearing this, Captain Song at his side twitched his mouth and said, Young Master Lu Yi, you are overestimating the average heavenly immortal. After going out once, they need at least a year of recovery outside the Zhenan battlefield to mitigate the effects of the Jiu Qi. Only then did Lu Yi remember, oh right, the effects of Jiu Qi need to be mitigated. The Ling Luo Peak Master, with a head full of black lines, looked at Lu Yi speechlessly. You think it's easy because you're different from the rest. For the average cultivator, even staying a year on the Jiu battlefield doesn't guarantee they can kill a Jiu demon of the same level. Otherwise, why do you think one can leave early after killing 100 Jiu demons of the same level? Lu Yi suddenly realized, I see. Since Wei Kang hasn't returned yet, let's also go out and take a look, Donggong Mingyue said with an excited smile. Jian Ruyu also nodded repeatedly, curious about what it was like outside. Naturally, Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master had no objections. Afterward, the group also registered and received a Jade token. This Jade token could record the number of Jiu demons they killed. Heavenly immortals who voluntarily joined in the battle used these cultivation treasures to record their kills. If they managed to kill 100 early on, they could leave ahead of time. After that, Lu Yi and the others left the metal fortress, passed through the gate, and walked out of the base. Chapter 608, 289, First Encounter with the Jiu Demons 2. Chapter 608, Chapter 289, First Encounter with the Jiu Demons /2. Outside the station was a barren and immensely vast land which was cracked and desolate all over, stretching all the way to the horizon. Additionally, the dimness in the sky made it nearly impossible to imagine any creatures living here. In the vicinity of the station, Jiu demons would not linger. Lu Yi and his group haphazardly chose a direction, and soon ventured deep into the Jiu battlefield. Along the way, Lu Yi even spotted quite a few other immortals. Most were heavenly immortals, and there were also some of true immortal level strength, although they hadn't yet encountered any profound immortals. Although immortals are powerful, the sky-falling star domain is immensely vast, and with only 7 Jiu battlefields across the entire domain, there were still a notable number of immortals present. Even those merely conscripted for obligatory labor were numerous, not to mention others like the Yu family disciples who came here for training. As they moved deeper into the wilderness, there were mountains and rifts everywhere, and in some areas, wisps of black Jiu Qi were leaking out. These were phenomena caused by the Jihu Qi reaching a certain concentration. Upon encountering such Jihu Qi, Ling Luo Peak Master would lead Lu Yi and the others around it to avoid corruption. In fact, on the Jihu battlefield, even though Jihu demons were the greatest danger, such pervasive Jihu Qi and the omnipresent corruption were even more terrifying than the Jihu demons. Hiss! Just as the group was flying over a valley, suddenly a dark and sinister beam of light shot towards them. The aura of the beam was strong, and its terrifying power caused the surrounding space to fluctuate. The beam shot directly towards Ling Luo Peak Master, who had the strongest presence. Ling Luo Peak Master slightly frowned, stretched out a hand, and a dim palm appeared, directly crushing the black beam. After that, several presences rapidly emerged in rows, surrounding Lu Yi and the others. 6 Jihu demons in total. These Jihu demons appeared to be entirely made of shadows, completely black, with both humanoid and beast forms, exuding thick black mist and emitting an extremely sinister aura. They were even more sinister than the deeply corrupted four-handed monk they had seen at the outset. Are these Jihu demons? Lu Yi glanced over. He noticed that among these Jihu demons, the most powerful was a humanoid one, a mighty true immortal. The rest of the Jihu demons were all of heavenly immortal level. Ling Luo Peak Master raised an eyebrow slightly and nodded. Yes, these are Jihu demons, and 6 appearing at once is not a small number indeed. The Jihu demons, looking at Lu Yi and others, surged with evil energy, encompassing everyone. Immediately, Lu Yi heard a cacophony of abrasive noises by his ears, like nails scraping on glass, like the buzzing of mosquitoes, like bizarre whispers. All these sounds merged together, making it rather unpleasant to listen to. However, Lu Yi found it strange that, aside from feeling a bit annoyed, he didn't experience any other discomfort. In contrast, Liu Ningxuang and the others all frowned deeply, including Ling Luo Peak Master. As they frowned, the group of Jihu demons suddenly transformed into dark flowing light and rushed over. HMPH! Ling Luo Peak Master snorted coldly and immediately turned into a stream of light, meeting the true immortal Jihu demon head-on. The rest are up to you all. Lu Yi shrugged his shoulders, naturally having no objections. Liu Ningxuang and the others looked somewhat pale under the influence of the bizarre noise. How noisy! Jian Ruyu snorted coldly, her long sword sang as she launched a series of fierce sword Tao laws at one of the Jihu demons. Yunzai, Liu Ningxuang, and Donggong Mingyue also each executed their laws, charging at one of the Jihu demons. Lu Yi then looked towards the remaining heavenly, immortal peak Jihu demon. He first murmured in his mind, I need to kill these Jihu demons. Task: kill Jihu demons. Reward: Star Marrow /1000, designated Immortal Skill Level +2/3, designated Cultivation Technique Level +2/*1. Accept task, yes, no. The rewards are quite good, huh? After all, killing 1 true immortal and 5 heavenly immortals to get a total of 1000 star marrow. These are quite substantial rewards. Not to mention the rewards for designated Immortal Skill Level and Cultivation Technique Level. The task offers extremely generous rewards. If every Jihu demon killed gives such generous rewards, Lu Yi felt that he might need to stay here a bit longer. Lu Yi silently accepted the task, and by this time, the remaining Jihu demons had already charged toward Lu Yi's face. It was a half-human Jihu demon, the upper body resembling a human while the lower half was like a scorpion, its body emitting an extremely eerie black mist. The Jihu demon revealed a grim smile, its eyes full of sinister aura, lacking the spirituality and emotions typical of ordinary creatures. It extended its right hand, and a rich Jihu power emerged on the hand, forming a pitch-black sphere, akin to a black hole, consuming the surrounding light. As the Jihu demon amassed powerful Jihu power, the noises around grew louder and more chaotic. Die! The spiritual wave of the Jihu demon conveyed its intent, and the black hole in its hand moved toward Lu Yi, growing bigger as it approached and eventually eclipsing Lu Yi's body size, aiming to engulf him. Chapter 609, 289, First Encounter with the Jihu Demons 3. Chapter 609, Chapter 289, First Encounter with the Jihu Demons /3. However, Lu Yi's expression did not change in the slightest. He clenched his right fist, and the dark golden Qi blood power emerged. Ow! A dragon roar resounded through heaven and earth, a dark golden dragon shadow coiling around Lu Yi's body, his form seemingly made of divine iron, radiating a dark golden glow. Above Lu Yi's fist, streams of dark golden light surged. The space around him twisted and shook, almost turning into a storm. Lu Yi threw a punch towards the black hole. Bang! An immensely powerful Qi blood power surged. The power law burst forth, bringing forth the star-shattering fist of extreme level, transforming into a dark golden torrent that rushed forward. The dark golden torrent swallowed everything. The small black hole formed by Jiyu power was instantly extinguished, and thereafter, the dark golden torrent devoured the Jiyu demon. Screams emanated from the Jiyu demon, with currents of Jiyu Qi swirling around, making a sizzling sound. The screams lasted only for an instant. Soon, the Jiyu demon was completely eradicated by the dark golden torrent, turning into ashes. The heavenly, immortal peak Jiyu demon couldn't even withstand a normal punch from Lu Yi. Lu Yi calmly retracted his fist, revealing a slight smile. It seems that using so many powerful treasures for foundation establishment was quite effective. After all, Jiyu demons are considered quite powerful among cultivators of the same level. Lu Yi, now only at the heavenly immortal first layer, managing to kill a Jiyu demon at the heavenly immortal peak, indicates that his strength is indeed commendable. After killing the heavenly immortal peak Jiyu demon, Lu Yi looked around and saw that Yunzai, Liu Ningxuang, and others were still fighting. The other 4 heavenly immortal level Jiyu demons did not possess strength as formidable as Lu Yi's. But Liu Ningxuang and the other 3 had just recently made their breakthroughs, also at heavenly immortal first layer. They still had quite a gap in their cultivation base. Even though all 4 are immortal bodies and have mastered the laws to over 10%, even nearing 20%, and their foundations are also very solid, they still struggled greatly in battle. Lu Yi did not intervene, just watching the 4 fight. Unless it came to a life-or-death moment, Lu Yi did not plan to intervene. After all, unlike Lu Yi, whose foundation allowed for continuous breakthroughs, even for immortal bodies, at bottlenecks, life-and-death battles were necessary for more effective breakthroughs. This battle was an excellent trial for them. Just then, with a boom, Lu Yi turned his head to see Ling Luo peak master in the endless world, crushing the true immortal level Jiyu demon. She stepped out of the endless world with an expression of being slightly unfulfilled. Too weak, a Jiyu demon not even at the true immortal peak can hardly serve as a proper trial. Lu Yi nodded in agreement. Indeed, a heavenly immortal peak Jiyu demon was annihilated by one punch of mine, quite weak indeed. Ling Luo peak master. Suddenly, she didn't feel like talking anymore. After Ling Luo peak master killed the true immortal level Jiyu demon, she looked at Liu Ningxuang and the others in the distance, and nodded in satisfaction. Not bad at all. Ningxuang's opponent was at the heavenly immortal 5th layer, Ruyu and the other 2 at the heavenly immortal 4th layer, still holding their ground until now without defeat. Their talents and strength are quite strong in the sky-falling star domain. Lu Yi nodded slightly. Let them continue to gain experience. Ling Luo peak master apparently felt the same way. The 2 of them watched from the sidelines. After a long while, Jian Ruyu was the first to kill her adversary, though she also took some damage, her body covered in fresh blood. But Jian Ruyu didn't rest and immediately went to assist Yunzai and Donggong Mingyue. After helping them kill their adversaries, she joined Liu Ningxuang, and the 4 confronted a Jiyu demon at the heavenly immortal 6th layer, ultimately overcoming it through a difficult battle. Post-battle, the 4 were bathed in blood, their injuries serious. Lu Yi watched, feeling very pained as they were his own loved ones. However, Lu Yi knew that this was necessary. Otherwise, without experiencing a real life-and-death battle, it would be hard for the 4 of them to grow. After the battle ended, Lu Yi waved his hand, and the all things revival skill emerged, green light enveloping the 4. Instantly, their injuries healed at a rapid pace, swiftly recovering to their original state. Ling Luo peak master clicked her tongue twice. The healing effect of this natural immortal technique is just too good. Lu Yi smiled. After all, my mastery of the natural law has also reached not a weak level. Ling Luo peak master. She was left speechless, giving Lu Yi a sidelong glance. Would this guy die if he didn't speak? Let's go, she said, clearly annoyed. So the group continued on their way, engaging Jiyu demons as they encountered them, resting when tired, delving deeper into the Jiyu battlefield. As they ventured further, the number of Jiu demons they defeated increased, and naturally, Lu Yi completed more and more tasks. Lu Yi also noticed a very surprising phenomenon. Chapter 610, 290, Generous Rewards, Seriously Injured Star Realm Army. Chapter 610, Chapter 290, Generous Rewards, Seriously Injured Star Realm Army. About the task regarding Jiu demons, the rewards are completely random, which means there are almost all kinds of rewards. Lu Yi encountered nearly 100 batches of Jiu demons along the way, and after defeating them, the rewards for the task included the promotion of specified immortal skill levels, the improvement of cultivation technique levels, understanding of various Tao rules such as Power Tao, Dark Path, Light Path, Natural Tao, and even Space Tao, as well as various immortal gold, immortal level heavenly treasures, low-grade immortal devices, mid-grade immortal devices, and even an immortal technique called Ice God Descent. Besides these, each task also awarded varying amounts of star marrow. Along the way, Lu Yi had amassed tens of thousands of star marrow. It's conceivable how generous the rewards for the task were. Lu Yi felt extremely excited. This Jiu battlefield is not just a dangerous land of Jiu, it's completely a copy where one can farm task rewards. In his eyes, these Jiu demons are just elite monsters with high drop rates. Lu Yi had already made up his mind to come to the Jiu battlefield more often in the future to kill Jiu demons. If there weren't enough resources, or when the level of cultivation techniques and immortal skills weren't high enough, or even when bored, it was also a good time to come and play. After all, his foundations, enhanced by Tao treasures and Chaos treasures during his ascension, were so rich that now, the resources he needed for improvement were enormous. Even daily dual cultivation, or friendly matches with his female colleagues, couldn't get him enough star marrow for cultivation. Now with this Jiu battlefield, he could finally get enough resources. Thus, they stayed in the Jiu battlefield for over 4 months. The longer they stayed here, the more irritable Liu Ningxuang and the others became, even usually furrowing their brows. This was influenced by the Jiu Qi. Not only the 4 of them, even Ling Luo Peak Master was slightly affected. However, her cultivation base was much stronger, so this effect was definitely not as significant as for the 4 women. "I'm somewhat annoyed," said Donggong Mingyue, casually letting a bolt of heavenly thunder strike down the barren ground, blasting a massive crater with its fearsome power. Heavenly thunder flickered around her. Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at her and said, "After all, it's only been 4 months since your last breakthrough here at the Jiu battlefield, which is quite good. Let's head back." Lu Yi, however, didn't feel anything. He discovered that, likely due to his absorption of Tao treasures and Chaos treasures, what used to slightly affect him, Jiu Qi, now couldn't disturb him in the slightest. The murmurs of Jiu in his ears were just mere noise with no negative effects. As long as he wished, he could stay indefinitely in Jiu's land. He nodded and said, let's go back and see if Wei Kang has returned." Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu, being more powerful and in a better state, nodded slightly. "Yes, this state isn't great. Let's adjust a little after going back to avoid any mishaps." The group turned into streaks of light and flew towards their base. Right then, an incredibly terrifying presence emerged in the distance, causing even Lu Yi to feel a sense of dread, as if meeting something extremely frightening. Including Ling Luo Peak Master, everyone's expressions drastically changed as they looked in the direction behind them. From that direction, endless black mist surged, turning into boundless torrential waves, sweeping toward their location. Seeing this scene, Ling Luo Peak Master's face changed and she said, "It's the Jiu storm. The Jiu Qi there can devour everything, and there are powerful Jiu demons within it. Run." Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps tingle. Lu Yi immediately said, "Master, don't resist." He directly employed space law, leading everyone to start transferring towards a distant location. The Jiu storm was extremely fast, but Lu Yi's space transmission was equally fast. He continuously stayed ahead of the Jiu storm, unswallowed, even managing to comfortably turn his head to look back at the situation. The Jiu storm was silent, like a reaper from hell, silently devouring all the wilderness areas, with the eerie whispers of Jiu intensifying more than before. Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu furrowed their brows and groaned, affected by the whispers of Jiu. Meanwhile, Yunzai and Donggong Mingyue, being weaker, showed traces of black mist emerging from their bodies. Seeing this, Lu Yi's expression changed, and he grabbed their hands with Tao patterns flashing uncertainly and instantly isolated the black mist. Yanzai and Donggong Ming Yue's expressions looked much better. Both of them looked surprised. "Brother, what did you just do? I was very annoyed earlier, but I feel much better all of a sudden," said Yanzai curiously looking at Lu Yi. Lu Yi smiled. "Perhaps it's because my foundation is stronger and my understanding of the laws deeper." Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi sideways, feeling extremely bizarre inside. "I don't believe it one bit." Although Ling Luo Peak Master was not incredibly strong, she could still subtly feel the aura of Tao. She recalled the old man mentioning that this guy had the Tao energy, a child of the Tao. Indeed, so this is what being a child of the Tao is. Even effortlessly dispelling the Jiu Qi. Ling Luo Peak Master felt envious to the extreme. Chapter 611-290, Generous Rewards, Seriously Injured Star Realm Army 2. Chapter 611, Chapter 290, Generous Rewards, Seriously Injured Star Realm Army. Yunzai opened her mouth and said, "If that's the case, then we don't need to go back. Now that Lu Yi has taken out the Jiu Qi and its effects have been introduced, we can stay in the Jiu battlefield a while longer." Right, we're already close to completing the objective. Why don't we just finish it before leaving?" Now that Lu Yi had dissipated the influence of the Jiu Qi, Donggong Ming Yue felt she was back in action. The Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Donggong Ming Yue speechlessly. "Let's wait until the Jiu storm has dissipated first. It's still behind us right now." Jian Ruyu smiled and said, "With our freak junior brother's speed using the space law, he shouldn't be caught up, right?" By Lu Yi's side, they all felt very safe. Even the Ling Luo Peak Master didn't refute that. As Lu Yi's cultivation base rose to the heavenly immortal level, his speed using the space law even surpassed that of light. Such speed that even a few profound immortals could not achieve, and among the golden immortals was not the weakest. One can imagine just how exaggerated this speed was. This is the terrifying aspect of the space law. Such speed was naturally too fast for even the Jiu storm to catch up. Just then both Lu Yi and the Ling Luo Peak Master suddenly stopped, exchanged glances, and looked in a certain direction. "What's wrong?" Noticing their reactions, Liu Ningxuang curiously asked. "There are people over there." Lu Yi frowned slightly and said, "Let's go take a look." The Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at the Jiu storm behind them and nodded. "The Jiu storm is still a bit away. We can go over." Lu Yi traveled through space and arrived quickly in the direction from which the aura emanated. There were 2 members of the Star Realm army clad in war armor, engulfed by a large horde of Jiu demons. Among these Jiu demons, there were a full 12 at the true immortal level, and the rest were also at the heavenly immortal level. At this moment, the armor of the 2 Star Realm army members was covered with blood, wounds were everywhere, and their auras were very weak. Surrounded by so many powerful Jiu demons, they were at the end of their strength. Star Realm army, how did they get surrounded? Lu Yi's face went through a slight change. These 2 members of the Star Realm army looked somewhat familiar to Lu Yi. They should also be from the 12th Company of the 6th Regiment. The Ling Luo Peak Master was even more frowning and said, "The Star Realm army works in small teams to penetrate deep into the Jiu battlefield, clearing out powerful Jiu demons to prevent a large number from gathering and forming a threat. With just 2 left, I fear the others must be dead." "How is that possible? If a team of the Star Realm army formed a battle formation, they should have a chance to escape even when facing a profound immortal, shouldn't they?" Jian Ruyu exclaimed. Liu Ningxuang and the others also showed faces of disbelief. The Ling Luo Peak Master furrowed her brow and said, "I fear something's not quite right." Lu Yi raised an eyebrow. "Let's rescue them first." The Ling Luo Peak Master looked at the Jiu demons besieging in the distance and showed a grave expression. 12 true immortals, including 3 at the true immortal peak, plus dozens of heavenly immortals. The number of Jiu demons here is too large. It will be difficult to save them. Lu Yi looked at the 2 heavily injured Star Realm army members in the distance, furrowed his brow and said gravely, "I'll give it my all and use the space immortal skill. We can try." The Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi and nodded, "I'll cover for you." Lu Yi immediately used the immortal ascension technique. His powerful aura erupted, and his cultivation base rose directly to the peak level of heavenly immortal. Afterward, he employed the sky tunneling technique. Surrounded by Jihu demons, the two members of the Star Realm army now looked pale and felt weak. They could feel their immortal spirit power disappearing bit by bit, and it wouldn't take much longer before they would have no strength left to resist. "Brother, I will burn all my lifespan to carve you a path of blood. You break out," a tall Star Realm army member of the Three-Eyed Clan said fiercely to his comrade beside him. His comrade was a human cultivator, with his left hand already severed, his right hand gripping a long sword, and his body surrounded by a pitch-black shield. Cracks had also begun to appear on the shield. It's easy to imagine just how intense the battle was. He glanced at his Three-Eyed Clan companion, a resolute look flashing in his eyes as he nodded. "Good. I will definitely bring back the message, for the 12th Legion." The Three-Eyed Clan cultivator laughed heartily. "Good, avenge us." Just as he was about to burn his lifespan, space suddenly twisted, and Lu Yi and the others appeared before them. The Ling Luo Peak Master's face was stern as she shouted, "Great illusion technique, myriad worlds." Worlds upon worlds appeared, enveloping all the Jihu demons in an illusory realm. The Ling Luo Peak Master shouted, "Brat, quickly." Lu Yi yelled at the two Star Realm army members, "Rebel, I'm taking you with me." He immediately used the sky tunneling technique. With the extreme-level golden immortal skill, coupled with the great strength granted by the immortal ascension technique, even while carrying 3 true immortal-level powerhouses and 4 more of the heavenly immortal level, Lu Yi still passed through space, vanishing from the spot. The next moment, Lu Yi and his companions appeared tens of thousands of kilometers away. After a single traversal, Lu Yi did not stop, continuing to use the sky tunneling technique, disappearing from where he was. Meanwhile, the endless worlds were broken, and a group of Jihu demons turned to sense their surroundings, only to find that the two Star Realm army members had vanished. "Who is it? Who actually saved those two?" The leader of the Jihu demons at the true immortal peak roared angrily. The other Jihu demons also roared in anger, beginning to search the area. Lu Yi carried a group of people across millions of kilometers before stopping. He let out a breath of foul air. Using the immortal ascension technique and a golden immortal level immortal technique, and after carrying so many people, even though Lu Yi was now a heavenly immortal, he was still somewhat out of breath. The two Star Realm army members, on the other hand, were stunned. They had watched with their own eyes how, after a few traversals, they had shaken off those Jihu demons without a trace. What the hell is this? What kind of speed is this? Forget about them. Even their squadron leader couldn't possibly be this fast, could he? And the one who brought them here was actually a heavenly immortal. At that moment, the two Star Realm army members looked at Lu Yi with some astonishment and uncertainty. "Are you young Master Lu Yi?" And the second miss, one of the human clan Star Realm army members asked. Lu Yi nodded slightly, smiling. "Yes, I'm Lu Yi." The two let out a sigh of relief. As they relaxed, they started coughing up blood, their auras weak. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow and waved his hand. Streams of the power of nature emerged, falling on the two of them. Instantly, their wounds healed at a visibly fast rate. Soon, the serious injuries were almost gone, leaving only minor ones. Even with Lu Yi's current strength, it was difficult to completely heal the severe wounds of a true immortal all at once. Of course, these two were too seriously injured. That they were able to survive with such critical injuries was a bit shocking even to Lu Yi. This was no longer a matter of strength, but entirely due to their incredible willpower. The Ling Luo Peak Master glanced back. "The Jiu storm is coming fast. Let's head back first." Lu Yi nodded and, no longer using the immortal ascension technique, immediately used the sky tunneling technique at a normal speed instead of the swift pace from before, traversing with the group back to their base. On the way, the Ling Luo Peak Master looked at the two Star Realm army members and asked, "How did you end up in such a sorry state?" The two Star Realm army members exchanged a look, a grave expression appearing in their eyes. "While we were sweeping the area, we noticed something amiss in one region. There were a lot of cultivators, auras mixed together with many Jihu demons. We went to investigate and encountered a profound immortal-level Jihu demon of incredibly strength. Even when we used the battle formation, we were no match. In the end, our captain stayed back with a couple of brothers to delay them, giving us a chance to return and report. However, we were still caught up to," said the human clan Star Realm army member. "Yes, if it weren't for young Master Lu Yi and the second miss, we likely would have had little chance of survival this time," The three-eyed clan Star Realm army member also nodded in agreement. Jiu demons gathering again, and there are quite a number of cultivator auras too. The Ling Luo Peak Master frowned, looking a bit troubled as well. Chapter 612, 291, The Whereabouts of Wei Kang, Mid-Grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure. Chapter 612, Chapter 291, The Whereabouts of Wei Kang, Mid-Grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure. Lu Yi was somewhat puzzled. Is the situation not so good? That is natural. Usually, the Jiu demons' will to kill and destroy outweighs their reason, and only a small number gather. Once such a large gathering occurs, it means that a very powerful Jiu demon is leading these Jiu demons. Such a situation often means trouble. Hearing this, Lu Yi also understood the situation. If it were just a few isolated Jiu demons, they wouldn't be too difficult to handle, but if there were many of them, then it would probably be troublesome. Then why is there still the aura of cultivators? Liu Ningxuang asked, puzzled. I'm afraid they intend to use cultivators for something, said the three-eyed clan's Star Realm army powerhouse with a grave expression. This has happened before. In the Ming Valley battlefield, a special Jiu demon devoured a large number of cultivators and eventually broke through the cultivation base limit of the Jiu battlefield. At that time, it nearly broke out of the garrison and many brothers from the Star Realm army died, added the human cultivator from the Star Realm army with an equally solemn expression. Upon hearing this, the faces of Lu Yi and his companions all changed. It can actually break through the limit, Jian Ruyu exclaimed in shock. The highest level of Jiu demons in the Zhenin battlefield was at the profound Immortal level. If they broke through the limit and reached the golden Immortal level, one could only imagine how terrifying that would be with a little thought. Golden Immortals are too strong, and even if all the Star Realm army stationed here were to come together, they probably wouldn't be able to stop them, and there really could be a great chance the garrison would be breached. The Ling Luo Peak Master nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, this kind of situation has occurred numerous times in history. In the most serious cases, the Jiu demons even broke out of the Jiu battlefield, causing extremely great losses, and an area spanning hundreds of light years turned into a dead zone. Even now, aside from immortals, other beings cannot enter. If the Jiu Qi is highly concentrated, ordinary beings simply cannot survive, and would be completely eroded in just a short time. Hiss, Lu Yi and his companions all took in a cold breath. The Jiu were indeed terrifying. Lu Yi's heart was filled with fear. Who would have thought that the Zhenin battlefield would also encounter such a situation? Let's go back and report it, and if necessary, request support. Is Uncle Yu Tianfeng still well? The Ling Luo Peak Master turned to look at the two Star Realm army cultivators. The military leader is currently in the Kato Star domain, where a heavenly demon tide has appeared, said the three-eyed clan cultivator. The Ling Luo Peak Master frowned slightly, but was not surprised. After all, the entire sky-falling star domain was so vast with frequent threats, and even though there were not a small number of immortals in the Tianluo star domain, the number of high-level golden immortals and cultivators above that level were always lacking. The universe is vast, and disasters never cease. Since Uncle Yu Tianfeng is currently occupied, let's first investigate the situation thoroughly. If we really can't cope, the importance of the Jiu battlefield still takes precedence. The two Star Realm army cultivators both nodded slightly, saying nothing more. They all understood that if disasters frequently occurred, they would have to abandon the less critical to protect the more essential. Lu Yi said nothing further and used spatial teleportation to head toward the garrison. Soon the garrison came into view. The group passed through the gates and quickly entered the garrison. Aside from them, there were also many immortals returning from the battlefield. After all, the Jiu storm outside was extremely dangerous, and staying out in it, if one were to be swallowed by the Jiu storm, would almost certainly mean death. Even the cultivators who had just left the garrison for a short time had no choice but to return. After returning to the garrison, the two Star Realm army cultivators left in a hurry. The Ling Luo Peak Master cast a glance at the approaching Jiu storm behind her, and a worried expression appeared on her face. However, she said nothing more. Let's go register first. Lu Yi and the others nodded, and Lu Yi thought of something. I wonder if Wei Kang has returned. Could he have been swallowed by the Jiu storm? Lu Yi thought it shouldn't be so tragic. They arrived at the registration point, registered their return time, and also registered the number of Jiu demons they had killed. The heavenly immortal at the registration saw they killed hundreds of Jiu demons, and his expression became somewhat strange, glancing at Lu Yi and his companions. Having left for barely half a year and slaughtered hundreds of Jiu demons, the pace was simply astonishing. Even though one of them was the second lady of the Yu family, he still found it hard to believe. Nonetheless, he naturally wouldn't say much and just quietly proceeded with the registration. After registering, Lu Yi asked, "By the way, has Wei Kang returned?" Hearing this, the heavenly immortal shook his head. "Not yet, young master Lu Yi." Lu Yi frowned. Could he really have been swallowed by the Jiu storm? Just then, 3 bloodied figures walked in. Lu Yi and his companions glanced at them and paid no further attention. After all, there were too many cultivators who returned to the garrison, severely wounded. Banu Qi Ming, Li Fang, Register, commanded the leading three-eyed clan cultivator. The heavenly immortal operated the cultivation treasure to register, but shortly his expression subtly shifted and he looked at Lu Yi with a strange expression. "You were the ones who teamed up with a human cultivator called Wei Kang and left together, right?" Lu Yi's expression changed slightly, and he turned to look at the seriously injured figures. The 3 momentarily stiffened, then nodded. "Yes, we indeed have a friend named Wei Kang." Lu Yi immediately asked, "Where is Wei Kang?" Before the 3 could speak, the heavenly immortal doing the registration introduced, "This is the second lady of the Yu family, and this is her direct disciple, young master Lu Yi." Chapter 613, 291, The Whereabouts of Wei Kang, Mid-Grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure 2. Chapter 613, Chapter 291, The Whereabouts of Wei Kang, Mid-Grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure /2. The Yu family, their faces changed instantly. The Yu family was the most powerful family in the sky-falling star domain, equivalent to an emperor of a nation. The young lady of the Yu family was akin to a princess. Their expressions immediately became much more respectful. "So, it's young master Lu Yi, our apologies, the leading member of the three-eyed clan said bitterly. "Due to the Jiu storm, we had to return early. However, en route, we encountered an ambush by the Jiu demons. Brother Wei Kang and 2 others were separated from us during the fight and were likely devoured by the Jiu storm." Hearing this, Lu Yi's mouth twitched and his face turned pitch black. "This is just really unlucky, isn't it?" "Devoured really? Devoured by the Jiu storm, can they survive?" Lu Yi asked the Ling Luo Peak Master. Ling Luo Peak Master rolled her eyes. "Based on the intensity of the storm we encountered earlier, there's basically no hope for heavenly immortals." Lu Yi tugged at the corner of his mouth. How was he going to explain this when he got back? Jian Ruyu next to him also showed a hint of complexity. After all, she was a disciple of the Divine Sword Sect, and according to lineage, Wei Kang was her immortal ancestor. She hadn't expected him to die. "Young Master Lu Yi, please accept my condolences," the three-eyed clan cultivator comforted. Lu Yi shook his head and departed with Ling Luo Peak Master and the others. Before long, the Jiu storm neared their base. However, to fend off the Jiu demons, the Jiu base had an extremely powerful formation, which even golden immortals would struggle to break through. The Jiu storm, though formidable, was only a threat to heavenly and true immortals. Even for peak profound immortals, the actual danger came only from the influence of the internal Jiu Qi. The Jiu storm naturally couldn't break through the defense array. Golden array patterns flickered uncertainly above the base, forming a golden light shield. Outside the shield, the pitch-black storm howled, its eerie sounds emanating like those from an abyss, unceasing. Lu Yi and his companions had already returned to their provided lodgings at the base to rest, waiting for the storm to dissipate. Half a month later, Lu Yi, Ling Luo Peak Master, and others stood with Song Deheng and other powerhouses of the Star Realm army on the high balcony of the base, looking at the surging black eerie wind outside the formation. Their expressions were not very optimistic. "This Jiu storm has lasted too long," Song Deheng frowned. "According to the information returned by Luo Yi and others, there has been an anomaly in the depths of the Jiu battlefield. The longer we delay, the worse the situation becomes, and at this crucial moment this damn storm won't disperse." Alas, another captain from the three-eyed clan named Joyce frowned and sighed. "If it doesn't disperse soon, who knows if there will be a situation with the Jiu demons that cannot be dealt with." Everyone was somewhat worried. Years of experience told them that if Jiu demons gathered, the situation generally wouldn't be good. And now they were obstructed by the Jiu storm, unable to go and investigate properly. By the time the Jiu storm dissipated, it was uncertain whether the situation could still be salvaged. Ling Luo Peak Master furrowed her brows. Contact the Star Realm Army's high command, see if someone can spare the time to come and take a look. Song Daheng gave a rueful smile. We've already reported the situation up the chain. However, not being able to understand the specifics makes it difficult to know how to report properly. Lu Yi stared at the distant storm, eyes reflecting a thoughtful expression. So much time had passed, and the intensity of the Jiu storm had weakened compared to before. Lu Yi had previously felt the Jiu storm was very dangerous, but now he no longer had such feelings. With his current situation, the Jiu Qi should be difficult to affect him. Perhaps he could pass through the Jiu storm and check the situation. If there really was an irreversible calamity, discovering it early was always a good thing. Lu Yi thought it over and felt that in his current state, if it was just him alone, even facing a golden immortal, he could possibly make a run for it. Of course, he wouldn't really provoke a golden immortal. Facing a profound immortal, if he went all out, he should probably not be caught. Lu Yi thought to himself, I need to investigate the cause of the Jiu demons gathering. Task: investigate the cause behind the Jiu demons gathering. Reward: mid-grade postnatal spirit treasure eternal light shield, designated law improvement by 30% / 3. Do you accept the task? Yes, no. Lu Yi's eyes lit up, revealing a hint of surprise. The reward's so generous, there's even an acquired spirit treasure. And it's a mid-grade one at that. If the Jiu demons really pose a problem, then the situation might become even more severe later on. It might be better to go and check it out now. Lu Yi immediately accepted the task. He looked at the Ling Luo Peak Master and said, Master, it's probably because of the Taoist energy, but I feel that the Jiu Qi doesn't affect me much. I should be able to get through this Jiu storm. Upon hearing this, everyone was stunned and stared at Lu Yi with wide eyes. Song Daheng and the others from the Star Realm Army, who deal with the Jiu demons all year round, were so shocked that their eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Song Daheng stuttered, Wait, young Master Lu Yi, what did you say? The Jiu Qi doesn't affect you. The others were equally dumbfounded. Even the Ling Luo Peak Master, who was familiar with Lu Yi, was astonished. She looked at him seriously and said, You rascal, this isn't a small matter, are you sure? Lu Yi nodded lightly. Yes, didn't I help junior sister and Yunzai dispel the influence of the Jiu Qi before? Yunzai and Donggong Mingyue exchanged glances, a hint of realization dawning in their eyes. At this, Song Daheng and the others became even more agitated, their eyes turning green as they fixed their gaze on Lu Yi. Knowing what it meant to dispel, Jiu Qi held significant implications. On the Jiu battlefield, the impact of Jiu Qi was enormous. Being able to dispel even a part of Jiu Qi could significantly reduce the losses of the Star Realm Army. And now, Lu Yi was able to do just that. Even golden immortal level cultivators found this difficult to accomplish. How could the Star Realm Army not be astonished and driven mad by this revelation? The Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi pensively. You rascal, are you planning to go out there? Lu Yi grinned broadly. Yes, didn't you say the situation is a bit troublesome now? If we can't understand what's happening, we can only wait here. If a real problem arises, it'll be troublesome to handle. I might as well go and take a look now. The Ling Luo Peak Master frowned and said, No, I don't agree. Even if there are no other issues, the peak of profound immortal Jiu demons are extremely powerful. You're undoubtedly talented and powerful, but facing such a level of adversary, even escaping would be difficult. Lu Yi immediately became indignant. Master, you're underestimating me too much. When I helped those two brothers from the Star Realm Army escape earlier, my speed was not slow. Ling Luo Peak Master. Her mind was filled with question marks. How could he insist on doing such a dangerous thing? What would Ningxuang and the others do if something really happened? What was he thinking? Song Daheng and the others at this point also understood Lu Yi's thoughts. They exchanged looks, astonishment evident in their eyes. At the same time, they were also filled with admiration. To think of passing through the terrifying Jiu storm, a feat difficult even for profound immortals, and yet here was young Master Lu Yi, merely a heavenly immortal, yet possessing such courage. Moreover, for young Master Lu Yi, with heavenly immortal cultivation base, to consider investigating the Jiu demons on his own. Such an action earned nothing but their admiration. However, Song Deheng still tried to persuade him. Young Master Lu Yi, I think Miss Second is right. You should not go out there, it's too dangerous. Even if an accident happens, our station should be able to hold off for a while, long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Truth be told, even Song Deheng wasn't very confident in these words. After all, on the numerous Jiu battlefields, there have been more than 1 or 2 instances where stations were breached. Lu Yi had heard about various situations before, and naturally also understood the real dangers if an accident really occurred. He shook his head. I am confident. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other and fell silent. Liu Ningxuang looked at Lu Yi and asked, Junior brother, do you really want to go? Lu Yi smiled and nodded, yes. Jian Ruyu and the others exchanged glances, and Jian Ruyu smiled. Then let's go together, shall we? The cultivation technique we practice together should be able to help you now, right? Hearing this, Lu Yi was startled, then seeing their determined expressions, he smiled helplessly. All right then, let's go together. Indeed, the 4 who had cultivated the Tao Yin-Yang immortal scripture and used the Yin-Yang Tao seal could indeed enhance Lu Yi's strength substantially, serving as an extremely powerful trump card. Chapter 614, 292, Fractured Spatial Line. Chapter 614, Chapter 292, Fractured Spatial Line. Upon hearing the words of Liu Ningxuang and the others, Ling Luo Peak Master blinked in surprise, furrowing his brows in confusion. What cultivation technique have you all been practicing? How can it possibly be of help to this young man? Ling Luo Peak Master could hardly believe it. From what she knew of Lu Yi, he definitely would not let Liu Ningxuang and the others risk themselves. Bring them along in such a dangerous situation. Are you kidding? Ling Luo Peak Master found it hard to accept. She was slightly stronger, and even she felt that going by herself might actually hold Lu Yi back. It wasn't just about being powerful, but also about resisting the Jiu Qi. Blushing upon hearing Ling Luo Peak Master's questions, Liu Ningxuang and the others turned red-faced. Donggong Mingyue muttered, It's the immortal scripture that our senior brother deduced on his own. It's nothing really. Next to them, Song Deheng and the others looked at Lu Yi in utter bewilderment. Just reached heavenly immortal level, and he deduced an immortal scripture. What kind of prodigious talent is this? Although Ling Luo Peak Master was aware that Lu Yi was deducing an immortal scripture, and knew that Lu Yi had made some achievements. Seeing the shy faces of Liu Ningxuang and the others still left her puzzled. So what if he deduced an immortal scripture? Why can't she be informed about it? After all, she was his master, wasn't she? However, given the urgency of the situation, Ling Luo Peak Master did not inquire further. She looked at Lu Yi and asked again, You rascal, do you really intend to investigate the situation? Lu Yi nodded, asserting seriously, Don't worry, Master, I am confident. Seeing Lu Yi speak thus, Ling Luo Peak Master no longer objected, nodded her approval and said, Then be careful. Don't worry, Master. Lu Yi smiled and then turned to Liu Ningxuang and the others. Let's go. As they spoke, the Tao patterns inside Lu Yi started to shimmer, and Taoist energy flowed, enveloping Liu Ningxuang and the others within it. Liu Ningxuang and the others also noticed it, exchanging glances. This Taoist aura was almost similar to that in the Tao Yin-Yang immortal scripture. They had never had much insight, but unexpectedly, Lu Yi's Taoist aura was so rich. The more powerful cultivators like Ling Luo Peak Master also noticed. This Taoist energy was so intense that it startled all the cultivators. Lu Yi paid no heed to others' reactions. He fully activated his sky tunneling technique, disappearing with Liu Ningxuang and the others in tow. In the next moment, they had passed through the great array of the garrison and entered into the Jiu storm. Inside the Jiu storm, the fearsome Jiu Qi formed hurricanes, sweeping across the heavens and earth with destructive force. As soon as Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang's group appeared, endless Jiu Qi surged toward them, and a cacophony of whispers arose around their ears. However, as the Jiu Qi drew near, it was repelled by the Taoist energy. Upon entering the Jiu storm, Tao patterns floated outside Lu Yi's body, forming a light screen that enveloped the group, warding off all Jiu Qi. Above the foreheads of Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang's group, a mysterious Tao seal appeared. It was the Yin-Yang Tao seal. The yin-yang Tao seal allowed their minds to connect, forming a great array, and even without fully activating any secret techniques, merely by operating their normal cultivation techniques, their presence significantly strengthened. All five of them had their power elevated to the level of heavenly, immortal fifth layer. Such was the mystery of the Tao Yin-Yang immortal scripture. And if the Yin-Yang Tao seal were to be fully activated, their cultivation base could be elevated even further. As the Yin-Yang Tao seal appeared, the Yin-Yang law merged into a mysterious radiance, integrating into the Tao patterns, reinforcing the light screen and holding off the Jiyu storm. Even so, the light screen still vibrated slightly, indicating just how formidable the storm was. Lu Yi squinted his eyes, taking out a black jade small bell, decorated with a flow of demon clouds over its body. This was the mid-grade immortal device, the demon cloud bell, that Lu Yi had acquired long ago. The demon cloud bell sparkled with dark radiance, endless demon clouds trickling down and merging with the light screen, thoroughly stabilizing it. Afterwards, Lu Yi again utilized the sky tunneling technique, weaving through space. With the endless Jiyu storm disturbing, even twisting the spatial lines, thanks to the golden immortal level immortal technique of sky tunneling and his powerful mastery of the space law, Lu Yi still moved as smoothly as a fish in water. Soon, he had taken Liu Ningxuang and the others through an extremely distant area, leaving the Jiyu storm behind them. On the calm Jiyu battlefield, Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang's group appeared. They turned their heads to look behind. They saw the Jiyu storm enveloping the area around their garrison, enclosing it within. This storm, it feels like it was deliberately created. Liu Ningxuang raised an eyebrow, speaking up. Yeah, look at the other places. The storm has calmed down. It's only around the garrison area that the storm persists. Jian Ruyu observed the surroundings and agreed. Just then, several terrifying presences swiftly approached, causing slight changes in the faces of Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang's group. Soon they saw four twisted black shadows appear, surrounding them. Four true, immortal-level Jiyu demons. The leader was even at the true immortal peak. The faces of Liu Ningxuang's group instantly changed. This was the true immortal peak, and even now, using the Yin-Yang Tao seal, they were merely at the cultivation base of heavenly immortal fifth layer. The eyes of the four true immortal-level Jiyu demons, filled with murderous intent, stared at Lu Yi and his group, radiating ferocity. Their bodies swirled with Jiyu Qi, launching an attack towards Lu Yi's group. Just then, the energy around Lu Yi erupted like a volcanic explosion, surging tremendously. Chapter 615, 292, Broken Space Line 2. Chapter 615, Chapter 292, Broken Space Line /2. His black hair danced wildly in the storm of immortal spirit Qi, his cultivation base rising rapidly, soon surpassing the heavenly immortal level and reaching the standard of the true immortal second level. Immortal Ascension Technique. After using the Immortal Ascension Technique, Lu Yi's hands were inexplicably covered by a pair of dark gold boxing gloves. The aura emanating from these gloves sent shivers down the spines of Liu Ningxuang and the four others nearby. High-grade immortal device, shattered boxing gloves. These were also the rewards that Lu Yi had previously acquired from his task. His expression ice-cold, he clenched his fists tight, dark golden streams of Qi blood power surging about, unleashing a terrifyingly immense force. The next moment, Lu Yi threw a punch, and a dark golden storm of Qi blood power burst forth, within which the roaring of a giant dragon could faintly be heard. The pitch-black Jiyu power was swept away in an instant, the fearsome force striking and enveloping all of the Jiyu demons. Four true immortal-level Jiyu demons were nearly annihilated on the spot, without even a trace of their spiritual fluctuations escaping. Death came directly. With the strength of Lu Yi, a true immortal second level, plus 80% of the power law, the extreme level sky-splitting fist, and the high-grade immortal device shattered boxing gloves, the power he wielded was simply unimaginable. Even a Jiyu demon at the peak of true immortal level could not withstand a single punch. Such might left Liu Ningxuang and her three companions, who had spent days and nights by Lu Yi's side, and often in close proximity, completely dumbfounded. Although they occasionally sparred with Lu Yi, he never used his full strength during these sessions, and so they could never grasp the true extent of his power. But now, witnessing such strength, it was naturally shocking to them. "Senior brother, you're actually this powerful now. Donggong Mingyue's round eyes were gaping wide, her mouth agape as if she could fit an entire egg inside. Liu Ningxuang and the other two were also incredulous. To think as his close companions, they did not know that Lu Yi's power had become so terrifying. To be able to kill a Jihu demon at the peak of true immortal level with a single punch, and take out 3 other Jihu demons simultaneously. With such strength, even their master might not be able to match it right. At this thought, Jian Ruyu's face suddenly took on a strange expression. Glancing at Lu Yi, she said, "I was wondering if sister could suppress the Ling Luo peak master, but now it seems, even if she joined us, most likely she's no match for our freakish junior brother." Hearing this, Yunzai nodded seriously. "I think what Sister Ruyu said is right." Liu Ningxuang and Donggong Mingyue, on the other hand, felt somewhat awkward. After all, the Ling Luo peak master was their master, and the notion of joining forces like this was a bit embarrassing for them. Lu Yi coughed dryly and spoke, "What are you thinking about? The situation is urgent right now. Let's hurry and leave this place to see what exactly happened over there." Hearing this, the 4 of them stopped thinking about these matters and nodded in agreement. Afterward, Lu Yi used the sky tunneling technique to move toward the area where the Jiu demons were gathering. As for the location, Lu Yi and the others naturally knew it well. The speed of the sky tunneling technique even surpassed that of light, and in just a few hours, Lu Yi arrived at a region billions of kilometers away from their base. As they approached the area, Lu Yi and the others encountered more and more Jihu demons. Moreover, their strength was extremely formidable, and they even came across a terrifying Jihu demon just entering the profound immortal level. Even Lu Yi had to push both the immortal ascension technique and the yin-yang Tao seal to their limits, adding his own sky-splitting fist and star-cutting sword to finally slay the beast, costing him considerable effort. Lu Yi felt somewhat relieved internally. It was fortunate that he had brought his senior sisters along. Without the yin-yang Tao seal and relying solely on the immortal ascension technique, it would have been even more troublesome to handle, even possibly beyond his ability to defeat. After defeating that profound immortal level Jihu demon, the 4 of Liu Ningxuang's immortal spirit Qi was nearly depleted. After all, using the battle formation meant that Liu Ningxuang and the others also had to operate their cultivation techniques at full force, naturally leading to a great consumption of energy. Gasping for breath and looking rather pale, the 4 of them said, "Didn't they say that the Star Realm army constantly sweeps the Zhenin battlefield, and that the number of profound immortal-level Jihu demons is very low? Are we just that unlucky to encounter one so quickly?" Jian Ryu complained while sitting on the ground. Liu Ningxuang glanced towards the depths and frowned. "Has anyone else noticed that something feels off in that direction?" Donggong Mingyue, Yunzai, and Jian Ryu all looked in that direction and nodded in agreement. Because Lu Yi used the Tao patterns to defend against the Jihu Qi, they were almost immune to its influence. But this didn't mean they lost their perception. They could easily feel an extremely eerie aura surging in that direction. Lu Yi's face also turned grim as he stared deeply in that direction. If Liu Ningxuang and the others had sensed it, he certainly wasn't an exception. "It seems the situation really is a bit off," said Lu Yi. "Lu Yi, what should we do?" Yunzai asked. After thinking for a moment, Lu Yi said, "All the way here, the strength of the Jihu demons has only gotten stronger. That direction must have even more powerful Jihu demons. We should still conceal our breath to avoid startling them." Liu Ningxuang and the others nodded slightly. Afterward, Lu Yi used the space law and the dark law to completely envelop the 5 of them. In terms of concealing breath ability, the space law could allow a cultivator to enter between spatial lines, and combined with the intrinsic concealment capability of the dark law, it was enough to disrupt the perception of most living beings whose cultivation base wasn't too powerful. To prevent any accidents, Lu Yi was very careful with his use of the sky tunneling technique to avoid causing too much spatial fluctuation. Moreover, each use was only to traverse a very short distance. If they encountered Jihu demons, they would choose to take a detour. Just as Lu Yi had speculated, the deeper they went, the stronger the Jihu demons they encountered became. The heavenly immortal level Jihu demons had completely disappeared, and all those they met were at the true immortal level, and they even encountered 3 Jihu demons at the profound immortal level, stronger than the one they had previously killed. This forced them to be even more cautious. Soon, they arrived at the area where those 2 cultivators from the Star Realm army had found something strange. It was a plain, Across the plain, towering pillars stood erect. These pillars were arranged around a huge central platform, covered with array patterns unlike any Lu Yi had ever seen. What shocked Lu Yi and the others were the cultivators nailed to these gigantic pillars. These cultivators were in tattered clothes, severely injured, with blood continuously flowing down, merging into the pillars. Some of them had been drained dry and turned into mummies, while the others appeared extremely weak. "Look over there," Jian Ruyu sent a shocked telepathic message. Signaled by Jian Ruyu, Lu Yi and the others looked over and saw 3 cultivators in Star Realm Army armor nailed to a pillar. Could it be those 2 from the Star Realm Army's teammates? They didn't die, they were captured alive. Over there are several Jiu demons. Lu Yi and the others saw 9 profound immortal-level Jiu demons prostrated on the central platform. Their bodies were enveloped in Jiu Qi, with dense black mist seeping out, merging into the array patterns. Then the platform began to show twisted cracks, and strands of bizarre Jiu Qi began to leak out, as if something terrible was about to burst forth. Seeing these cracks, even Lu Yi felt a tingling on his scalp and a chill up his spine. He had a feeling that if those cracks were to open, even he might not be able to escape. A real disaster has struck, vibrated the spirit of Yunzai. Even Lu Yi felt a fatal threat, let alone Liu Ningxuang and the others. They were able to stand only because they had withstood enough pressure when they broke through the heavenly Tao limitation earlier, strengthening their endurance. What are these Jiu demons planning to do? That aura, it far surpasses the profound immortal level. Could it be golden immortal? Weren't golden immortal level Jiu demons unable to pass through space to come here? Jian Ruyu's face was pale as snow, her eyes filled with terror. Lu Yi took a deep breath, with strands of chaos qi circulating in his eyes as he watched the platform. In his eyes, endless spatial lines were being pulled and twisted, actually snapping one by one, and even with his strong mastery of the space law, Lu Yi found it unbelievable. He had never imagined that the endless spatial lines could actually break. Chapter 616, 293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue. Chapter 616, Chapter 293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue. As the spatial threads broke apart, he could see an aperture being opened and Jiu Qi circulating in another region. It seemed as if something was about to burst out from within. Witnessing this scene, Lu Yi's heart felt incredibly heavy. The situation looked wrong in every way. "Lu Yi, what's wrong?" Sensing the change in Lu Yi's expression, Liu Ningxuang and the others asked anxiously. "Something's off, they might be opening a passage to the Jiu world." Lu Yi shook his head. "What?" Liu Ningxuang and the others' faces changed dramatically. The severity of the situation was clear even to them. "What should we do?" Lu Yi looked at the 9 high-level, profound, immortal Jiu demons in the distance. The aura of these 9 Jiu demons was incredibly strong, all of them high-level, profound immortals. For the current Lu Yi, such powerful beings were difficult to deal with. However, being unable to deal with them didn't mean Lu Yi couldn't escape from these 9 high-level, profound, immortal Jiu demons. He glanced at the cultivators on the distant pillars, took a deep breath, and then let out a slight sigh. The next moment, Lu Yi looked at Liu Ningxuang and the others and said, "Senior sister, I need you to fully activate the Yin Yang Tao Seal." Hearing this, Liu Ningxuang and the others exchanged glances and nodded slightly. Jian Ruyu smiled and said, "Being able to help you shows that our cultivation these days hasn't been in vain." Yunzai and Dongo Mingyue also smiled. Subsequently, endless Tao patterns flickered around them, including Frost Tao patterns, Sword Tao runes, Thunder Tao patterns, and Natural Tao patterns. Apart from these Tao patterns, there were also flickering Yin-Yang Tao seals. Their aura surged dramatically, transforming into a stream of light that settled on Lu Yi's forehead, forming a profoundly mysterious Yin-Yang Tao seal. Lu Yi slowly opened his eyes, which flickered with profoundly mysterious patterns. At the extreme state of the Yin-Yang Tao seal secret skill, Liu Ningxuang and the others could transform into Tao seals, releasing all their power to enhance Lu Yi's strength. Lu Yi could distinctly feel the affection in Liu Ningxuang and the others' emotions. He exhaled a breath of stale air as the immortal ascension technique also began to operate, with his momentum climbing relentlessly. At the extreme level of the immortal ascension technique, combined with the full power of the Yin-Yang Tao seal, Lu Yi's aura reached the terrifying level of true immortal 8th layer. Together with Lu Yi's own foundation, his fearsome aura made all the surrounding Jiyu demons turn their gaze towards him. Not just them, even the cultivators pinned on the pillars vibrated and looked towards the source of the aura. Their eyes looked dim, like candles flickering in the wind. Atop the platform, the peak profound immortal Jiyu demons emitted a strange noise, and then a massive aura enveloped the area from afar. Lu Yi realized it was the surrounding Jiyu demons. Among these auras, the weakest were true immortal level, and there were even dozens of terrifying existences at profound immortal level. Lu Yi's expression remained calm. He stepped forward, appearing outside the platform and looking down at the Jiyu demons below. The 9 differently shaped Jiyu demons rose into the air, their terrifying Jiyu power swirling as their cold eyes stared at Lu Yi with undisguised greed. The Jiyu demons emitted chaotic mental fluctuations. Taoist energy, there's such an immense amount of Taoist energy. Eat him, we will transform. From their mental fluctuations, Lu Yi sensed their hunger and urgency, as if they had encountered something extremely delicious. Lu Yi even felt a chill down his back. It seemed that Taoist energy was also a treasure even to the Jiyu. Lu Yi was deeply shocked. Although he didn't know exactly what kind of world Jiyu was, being able to absorb Taoist energy probably also existed within the Tao. His face turned cold as he transmitted his mental fluctuations. Thinking of eating me, you don't have the capabilities. Roar! A Jiyu demon, resembling an octopus, extended its tentacle with a surging eerie aura towards Lu Yi, trying to capture him. However, Lu Yi's body instantly passed through space, evading the attack of the Jiyu demon, and the swirling Jiyu Qi, akin to flame, had no effect on him. Realizing that Lu Yi mastered the power of space, a group of Jiyu demons roared, their Jiyu power surging, instantly locking down the entire space, attempting to trap Lu Yi within. If there were golden immortal level beings among these Jiyu demons, Lu Yi wouldn't think twice and would just leave. But the strongest here were merely at the peak of profound immortal, and he had mastered the sky tunneling technique, an immortal technique at golden immortal level, to its extreme level. Moreover, his mastery over the space law was also profound, so even the existences at the peak of profound immortal couldn't completely trap him in space. Furthermore, Lu Yi flipped his hand and a white steel appeared, the high-grade immortal device, the sky tunneling tablet. With the help of the sky tunneling tablet, Lu Yi was even more at ease in space, completely fearless even under the seal of the 9 peak profound immortal Jiyu demons. His figure flickered, moving and dodging under the attacks of the Jiyu demons. Seeing they were utterly unable to lock down Lu Yi's movements, several Jiyu demons released fierce mental fluctuations. However, these were blocked by the power of Tao, having no effect on Lu Yi. While dodging attacks, Lu Yi looked towards the surrounding pillars. At this moment, the living cultivators on the pillars were all wide-eyed, staring in astonishment at Lu Yi in the air. Chapter 617, 293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue 2. Chapter 617, Chapter 293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue /2. They could hardly believe it. A true immortal of the 8th layer was completely unharmed while being surrounded and attacked by 9 profound immortal level Jiyu demons, and even seemed to handle it with ease. And these 9 profound immortal level Jiyu demons were not ordinary profound immortals, but were among the strongest. Especially the 3 warriors from the Star Realm army, they couldn't believe it. They had fought with the most powerful peak profound immortal Jiyu demons, and they were well aware of the fierceness of the Jiyu demons. They had never expected that not even one true immortal of the 8th layer could trouble them. This was just too absurd. Wait, it's young Master Lu Yi. The captain of the Star Realm army croaked, his body partially destroyed, even feeling an epiphany, he said in disbelief. The other 2 members of the Star Realm army also realized it indeed was Lu Yi. Their eyes were nearly popping out of their sockets. No, it's impossible. The last time we saw young Master Lu Yi in the Tiananmen star system, he was just a tribulation-crossing practitioner. How can he be a true immortal? They couldn't understand. At that moment, Lu Yi's figure appeared not far from a stone pillar, looked at the 3 Star Realm army cultivators and said, "I'm going to save you all." Upon hearing this, the expressions of the 3 Star Realm warriors changed, and then the captain of the Star Realm army croaked, "No, young Master Lu Yi, don't save us." And nearby, several cultivators hearing this, Their faces changed and they hastily said, "Senior, save us. Senior, please save us. We're not dead yet, we can still be saved." A series of pleading voices rose. Lu Yi furrowed his brow, dodging an attack. Those Jihu demons deliberately avoided the stone pillars, and the attacks did not hit them. "Why won't you let me save you?" Lu Yi asked. The Star Realm army captain gave a bitter laugh. "We've been eroded by Jihu Qi. Even if young Master Lu Yi saves us, it won't be long before we completely turn into Jihu demons." Another Star Realm army soldier also gave a bitter laugh. "It's our fortune to see young Master Lu Yi here. The Star Realm army is committed to guarding Tianluo, so naturally, we can't become demons causing havoc in Tianluo. Please, young Master Lu Yi, kill us." "Yes, young Master Lu Yi, kill us. These demons want to use our essence, blood, and souls to open a pathway. Once they do, golden immortal level Jihu demons will burst forth, and that would be a disaster." The remaining Star Realm soldier also roared hoarsely. Upon hearing this, the cultivators who were pleading nearby, some of them fell silent, their eyes dimmed significantly. They knew their situation the best. However, some cultivators still displayed a look of unwillingness, pleading, "Senior, we haven't been completely eroded, we can still be saved, please. Senior, save me please, I don't want to die." But hearing these words from the Star Realm army, Lu Yi couldn't help but laugh. Erosion. Even with deep erosion, Lu Yi was fairly confident he could eliminate it. After all, Lu Yi's Taoist energy was extremely powerful, having absorbed a large amount of Tao treasures. Besides, even if he really couldn't eliminate it, Lu Yi was confident he could handle the cultivators transformed by Jihu. "You can survive, don't worry. I have a way to remove the Jihu erosion," Lu Yi said softly as he dodged another attack. Upon hearing this, everyone paused, their eyes widening as they looked at Lu Yi. Even the 3 warriors of the Star Realm army felt the same. If they could live, who would choose to die? Even the Star Realm army thought the same. They found it hard to believe that Lu Yi could remove the deeply eroded Jihu Qi. This level of Jihu Qi, even if an immortal monarch-level practitioner made a move, it might not be removable. However, seeing that Lu Yi, merely at the true immortal level, could withstand so much Jihu Qi from the Jihu demons, they involuntarily started to believe a bit. The next moment, mysterious Tao patterns flashed in Lu Yi's eyes. The sky-tunneling tablet in his hand released terrifying spiritual pressure. Space power enveloped the entire platform. The next moment, all the cultivators were pulled by the space power to Lu Yi's side. Seeing this scene, all the profound immortal level Jihu demons became furious immediately. Terrifying power enveloped Lu Yi. However, this time Lu Yi no longer dodged within the platform. He left the platform with a group of seriously injured cultivators. Before leaving, Lu Yi threw out 5 beams of light. Low-grade Immortal device 10,000 Demon Bell. Low-grade Immortal device Heavenly Broken Sword. Low-grade Immortal device Jade Starship. Low-grade Heavenly Origin Array Map. Mid-grade Immortal device Blood Slaughter Boxing Gloves. These beams of light landed on 5 stone pillars. Lu Yi's eyes shimmered with light, and his primordial spirit triggered. Explode. Boom, 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 boom. The terrifying force of the immortal devices' explosion was horrifying. Especially the mid-grade immortal device. The force of its explosion surpassed even a peak profound immortal. Under such powerful force, spirit light surged and space lines twisted. 2 of the 5 stone pillars completely broke apart, while the remaining 3 also developed cracks, the array patterns turning dim. In the aftermath, 9 profound immortal level Jihu demons emerged. Their Jihu Qi significantly faded. They were extremely angry, terrifying mental fluctuations disseminated, almost mad. This strike directly fractured the partially open pathway. Lu Yi gave a cold laugh and once again used the sky tunneling technique to full strength, disappearing from the spot. After several continuous uses of the sky tunneling technique, Lu Yi took out a crimson-red heavenly boat and entered it with the group. Chapter 618-293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue 3. Chapter 618, Chapter 293, Yin Yang Tao Seal Rescue /3. The heavenly boat transformed into a streak of flowing light, speeding towards the stationing point. Even a profound immortal level powerhouse would not be able to catch up. All the Jihu demons encountered along the way were slaughtered by the array patterns flashing upon the heavenly boat. The top-grade immortal artifact, Red Sun Boat. was also a reward that Lu Yi had obtained from a previous task. Upon entering the Red Sun boat, Lu Yi dropped a group of cultivators onto the floor. At this moment, dark Jihu Qi was already emerging from the bodies of these cultivators, and their eyes were gradually losing reason. Lu Yi did not hesitate. Tao patterns flickered, enveloping all the cultivators. As the power of Tao flowed through their bodies, strands of Jihu Qi were expelled, and the noisy whispers and screams of reluctance faded away. After a moment, the Jihu Qi within all the cultivators had been dispelled, and Lu Yi then retracted the Tao patterns. By then, quite a few cultivators had already passed out. Only a few cultivators who had not fainted remained. The Star Realm Army captain looked around in a dazed manner, disbelief flickering in his eyes. "I'm actually still alive." The Star Realm Army soldiers beside him couldn't believe it either. "The Jihu Qi, it's really been dispelled." "Hehatu." One after another, the cultivators revealed smiles of having survived a calamity. Lu Yi glanced at them and waved his hand, scattering a swath of green brilliance. All things revival skill. Lu Yi's previous consumption had been immense, leaving him with little strength remaining. He only used a small portion of his strength to ensure they could survive, so they wouldn't die of severe injuries right there. As the green brilliance fell, the complexions of all the cultivators became rosier, and the horrific wounds began to slowly heal. "Cough, cough, thank you, young Master Lu Yi," the Star Realm Army captain said with gratitude. Lu Yi shook his head. "Rest well." With that, Lu Yi entered the cultivation room. As soon as he entered the cultivation room, the yin-yang Tao seal on his forehead flickered and emitted 4 beams of light, transforming into Liu Ningxuang and the other 3. At this moment their complexions were pale, and their breaths were extremely weak. Although their foundations were not as strong as Lu Yi's, despite not having attacked previously, facing 9 high-level profound immortal Jiu demons, even avoiding attacks would cost them a considerable amount of strength. Not to mention that they had to utilize the sky tunneling technique to escape, while carrying so many cultivators afterwards. Their spiritual energy was almost completely depleted. However, the 4 of them had unbelievably joyful expressions on their faces. Donggong Mingyue's eyes shimmered. "I didn't expect the yin-yang Tao seal to be so powerful." Yes, yes. After using that secret technique, I could even feel the terrifying power contained within our freakish junior brother, Jian Ruyu also exclaimed repeatedly in awe. Liu Ningxuang and Yun Zai felt the same way. Although they could not understand why Lu Yi was so frighteningly powerful, and why he had such a strong foundation. It defied all reason. Even having spent some time in the Yu family, broadening their horizons, they could not comprehend it. They all understood that Lu Yi had his secrets. However, all 4 of them were Lu Yi's Taoist couple, and naturally would not speak of it. To them, Lu Yi being strong only made them prouder. Especially since they could feel such powerful strength, they were very happy in their hearts. Lu Yi couldn't help but smile helplessly. "You've consumed too much energy, recover first, lest there be another accident." Liu Ningxuang and the others nodded and took out star marrow to begin restoring their energy. If others knew that star marrow, such a precious cultivation resource, was being used by them to restore spiritual energy, they would probably be green with envy. However, Lu Yi had accumulated a substantial amount of star marrow from previous tasks, and he had also gained a lot by slaying numerous Jiu demons on the Jiu battlefield. Lu Yi now had an abundance of star marrow. He could even use it to bathe without worry. Seeing Liu Ningxuang and the others beginning to restore their energy, Lu Yi also sat cross-legged and began to recover as well. He too had spent a considerable amount. Chapter 619, 3 Tasks, Great Harvest. Chapter 619, Chapter 294, 3 Tasks, Great Harvest. Lu Yi's foundation was strong, and whether it was the absorption efficiency of star marrow or the natural recovery speed of immortal spirit qi, he far surpassed Liu Ningxuang and her companions. Before long, Lu Yi had fully recovered his immortal spirit power and slowly opened his eyes. He glanced at Liu Ningxuang and the others who were still recovering, then sensed the cultivators outside and found their breathing steady, showing no signs of abnormality, which reassured him. He joyfully looked towards his task panel. In addition to the task he had previously taken on to investigate the gathering of Jiu demons, Lu Yi had naturally issued a task before taking action. Task: Rescue surviving cultivators, completed. Reward: Top-grade Immortal Artifact Yin-Yang Immortal Robe. Specified Cultivation Technique Level +4/3. Star Marrow /5000. Accept Reward, yes, no. Task: Destroy Ritual Pillars completed. Reward: Low-grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure Stepping Void Primordial Boots. Specified Cultivation Technique Level +4/4. Specified Immortal Skill Level +4/4. Accept Reward, yes, no. This was added to the previous task of investigating the gathering of Jiu demons. Task: Investigate the reason Jiu demons gathered completed. Reward: Mid-grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure Eternal Light Shield. Specified Law Enhancement to 30% **3. Accept Reward, yes, no. It was indeed a huge harvest. The top-grade Immortal Artifact Yin-Yang Immortal Robe, which could enhance the power of the Yin-Yang Law and amplify the strength of Yin-Yang Immortal Skill, was also very useful to Lu Yi. After all, Lu Yi's comprehension of the Yin-Yang Law was not low, and he also possessed the extreme-level Immortal Skill, Yin-Yang Map. With this Yin-Yang Immortal Robe, his defensive capabilities would greatly increase, enhancing his ability to stay alive. It definitely was much better than the magic robe he was wearing. Not to mention the low-grade Postnatal Spirit Treasure Stepping Void Primordial Boots. As a postnatal spirit treasure, its power vastly exceeded that of top-grade Immortal Artifacts. The Stepping Void Primordial Boots were postnatal spirit treasure that enhanced the Space Law and Space Immortal skills, significantly increasing Lu Yi's sky tunneling technique. The specific effects were needless to say. Added to the defensive mid-grade postnatal spirit treasure Eternal Light Shield, Lu Yi realized all the task rewards were related to defense and escape. Lu Yi was somewhat speechless inside. These increased his survival capabilities by a lot, but did it mean they expected him constantly to be escaping? This didn't seem right. However, regardless, the rewards included top-grade Immortal Artifacts and postnatal spirit treasures, which obviously delighted Lu Yi immensely. After accepting all the rewards, Lu Yi didn't use them since the environment wasn't exactly favorable. They hadn't reached a safe place yet. Lu Yi touched the spot with his hand, and the array patterns flickered, bringing several light screens in front of him. Outside the Red Sun boat, massive numbers of Jiu demons charged from all directions, attempting to block the Red Sun boat. However, as the Red Sun boat was a top-grade Immortal Artifact, and the great array on it was extremely powerful, although it couldn't confront golden Immortal-level beings, it wasn't weaker than profound Immortals. The Jiu demons chasing the Red Sun boat from behind were at the profound Immortal level, and those ahead that hadn't even reached profound Immortal level naturally couldn't stop the Red Sun boat. Many Jiu demons were slain by the Red Sun boat's protective great array, their blood splattering across the sky. Behind them, the terrifying aura surged, and in one of the light screens, Lu Yi saw the profound Immortal-level Jiu demons he had seen before roaring as they pursued the Red Sun boat. Clearly, Lu Yi had disrupted their plans, which seriously aggravated them. They likely wouldn't let him go. However, Lu Yi felt no perturbation within himself. After all, the Red Sun boat was faster than profound Immortals, and even though these Jiu demons were formidable, they couldn't catch up to the Red Sun boat. Thus, during the chase, the Red Sun boat transformed into a crimson light streak, piercing through the vast wilderness. A few hours later, Lu Yi could see the Jiu storm in the direction of the campsite. He steered the Red Sun boat headlong into the Jiu storm. The Jiu storm was raging. Lu Yi could feel that under the Jiu storm, the Red Sun boat slowed down some. He slightly frowned and looked back to the light screen, noticing that the profound Immortal-level Jiu demons actually grew stronger in the Jiu storm, their auras more powerful than before, and their speed increased as well. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for those profound Immortal-level Jiu demons to catch up to the Red Sun boat. However, Lu Yi wasn't too worried. He looked at Liu Ningxuang and her companions beside him. During these few hours, although they hadn't fully recovered, their strength had returned significantly. He softly said, "Wake up." Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu, among others, gradually opened their eyes. "What's up, junior brother?" Lu Yi pointed to the light screen. "We've entered the Jiu storm, but those Jiu demons have gotten stronger here, and the Red Sun boat has slowed down. At this rate, they will catch up to us. Let's use the sky tunneling technique to return." Liu Ningxuang and her companions nodded slightly. We've recovered somewhat, it should be enough. Thus, Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang with her group fully employed the yin-yang Tao seal once more. Lu Yi's aura surged. Lu Yi left the cultivation room and entered the hall. The cultivators in the hall were also healing and recovering. Feeling Lu Yi's approach, they all opened their eyes, looking somewhat anxious. "Young Master Lu Yi, what's happening? Is there a situation?" Lu Yi nodded slightly. "Those Jiu demons have caught up." Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. The Star Realm army captain struggled to stand, his face pale and breath weak, evidently not fully recovered yet. Chapter 620-294, 3 Tasks, A Great Harvest 2. Chapter 620, Chapter 294, 3 Tasks, A Great Harvest /2. He looked at Lu Yi and said, "Young Master Lu Yi, you take the others and run. I'll hold off those Jiu demons for a while." The 2 members of the Star Realm army standing beside him also stood up, their expressions resolute. As members of the Star Realm army, it was their fate to die in battle, just like their brothers. The expressions of the surrounding cultivators changed, some struggling with their decision. After all, most of them were there on the Jiu battlefield because of their immortal duty. Outside, they were all high and mighty immortals, holding noble statuses. If they could live naturally, they didn't want to die. Lu Yi smiled and said, "Who said I needed you to hold them off? Since I've saved you, I naturally will bring you back to the base safely." "But young master," you said, "the Star Realm army is about to catch up, didn't you?" "That's to catch up with the Red Sun boat. I've already recovered quite a bit, enough to take you all back," Lu Yi said earnestly. Even though the task was completed, and even if he didn't look after them, Lu Yi wouldn't suffer any loss. But since Lu Yi had taken action, he naturally wouldn't leave them behind. In fact, even if his immortal spirit Qi hadn't fully recovered, he could still take everyone back. After all, inside him was a small world pearl, containing an abundant amount of immortal spirit Qi, sufficient to sustain Lu Yi's strength continuously. However, this was one of Lu Yi's precious trump cards, and he would not use it unless absolutely necessary. Hearing this, both the 3 members of the Star Realm army and the other cultivators were shocked. After all, they knew how much immense power was needed to transport a large number of cultivators through space, and young Master Lu Yi had recovered so quickly. What kind of recovery speed was that? Lu Yi didn't care about their thoughts. He told them not to resist and then swept everyone up, leaving the Red Sun boat. The Jiu storm surged like terrifying waves, sweeping towards everyone, which shocked all the cultivators. "Jiu storm. We're done for." They were healing in the hall and had no idea about the terrifying Jiu storm outside the Red Sun boat. Under the Jiu storm, they, gravely injured, had absolutely no chance of resisting. However, before they could even regret their predicament, all of the Jiu storms were blocked by the Taoist energy, rendering the expressions of all the cultivators rigid. At that moment, Lu Yi had put away the Red Sun boat, taken out the sky tunneling tablet, and was shifting through space. Not long after Lu Yi and the others left, those powerful Jiu demons arrived at the location of the Red Sun boat. Sensing the spatial fluctuations, they became extremely furious and pursued once again. However, Lu Yi's speed of continuous space shifting was even faster than the Red Sun boat. After several space shifts, Lu Yi passed through the great array of the base and entered the base. On the base's plaza, everyone appeared. Lu Yi let down the many cultivators and exhaled a deep breath. The Tao seal on his forehead flashed, and Liu Ningxuang and the other 3 appeared. At that moment, the cultivators looked around, their expressions still showing a hue of bewilderment. "Is this the base? We've really come back." They found it somewhat hard to believe. As the presence of the people appeared, it naturally attracted the cultivators within the base. Streams of light quickly arrived at the plaza, including the Ling Luo Peak Master and Star Realm army powerhouses like Song Deheng. Upon seeing Lu Yi and the others, especially the seriously injured members of the Star Realm army, everyone's faces changed. The Ling Luo Peak Master approached Lu Yi, looked at him and the others beside him. "How is it? Nothing serious, right?" "Nothing's wrong, Master. We are quite formidable," Donggong Mingyue said with a giggle, her expression quite triumphant. After using the yin-yang Tao seal and feeling the powerful strength of Lu Yi, Donggong Mingyue felt inflated, thinking she was nearly invincible. The Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at Donggong Mingyue, flicked his finger, and with a thud, Donggong Mingyue clutched her forehead and crouched down. Why are you being so arrogant? Isn't that just asking for trouble? The Ling Luo Peak Master said, speechless. Liu Ningxuang and the others couldn't help but laugh. Lu Yi shook his head. We're all right, but something did happen over there. Ling Luo Peak Master's face changed slightly. What happened? About that you should ask them. They probably know more. Lu Yi gestured toward the Star Realm army and other cultivators he had rescued. At this moment, Song Daheng and a group of the Star Realm army were surrounding 3 seriously injured Star Realm army warriors, including the 2 that Lu Yi and his group had saved on their way back previously. Boss, you're still alive. That's really great. The man named Luo Yi from the human Star Realm army had red-rimmed eyes as he hugged the gravely wounded Star Realm army captain tightly. The captain's face had turned pale as he cursed, "Damn it, let go. At this rate, if I don't die from my injuries, I'll die because of you." A member of the Three-Eyed Clan from the Star Realm army was equally surprised. "Boss, how did you manage to survive?" On the side, Song Daheng and the others from the Star Realm army were also filled with joy. The soldiers from the same unit were like brothers and sisters, having an excellent relationship with each other. Song Daheng also asked, "Yeah, Pangda, what exactly happened?" Pangda took a deep breath and recounted the events that had occurred. Everyone's faces turned pale, and chills ran down their spines upon hearing that the Jihu demons had used a peculiar great array to attempt to open the gateway, planning to allow golden immortal level Jihu demons into the Zhenin battlefield. If golden immortal level Jihu demons really invaded the Zhenin battlefield, their outpost had a high probability of being overrun. The situation was dire. However, to hear that Lu Yi had rescued all of them from the siege of 9 high-level profound immortal Jiu demons, and even destroyed the Great Array, everyone was dumbfounded. Whether it was Ling Luo Peak Master or Song Daheng and the others, they looked at Lu Yi with confusion, and the entire plaza fell silent. Lu Yi was a bit embarrassed by their stares and coughed. "Why are you all looking at me like that?" Ling Luo Peak Master's mouth twitched in disbelief. "You kid! You really saved them from 9 high-level, profound, immortal Jiu demons, and destroyed the Great Array." Lu Yi coughed again and nodded, "Yeah." Even the Star Realm army present was shocked, looking at Lu Yi as if he were an immortal. This was simply outrageous. These things were beyond the stuff of myths. Seeing everyone's shocked expressions, Pang Du and the other cultivators felt somewhat excited about their misfortune. Even though they had experienced it themselves, it still felt like a dream. Then, coming back to his senses, Song Daheng said, "This is a big issue. I need to inform the military leader right away to prevent any unexpected incidents." With that, Song Daheng hurriedly left. The other critically injured cultivators were led away by the Star Realm army to be registered. Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi, still not fully comprehending. "How did you do it, kid? They were high-level, profound immortals. How could you save so many people from the siege of so many profound immortal warriors?" Even she could not have accomplished this feat. Had this brat surpassed her already? Impossible, right? Ling Luo Peak Master was somewhat incredulous inside. Lu Yi helplessly said, "I used some trump cards." Hearing this, Ling Luo Peak Master suddenly recalled something and looked strangely at Liu Ningxuang and the 3 others. "When you promised to go with them earlier, was that also a kind of tactic?" Liu Ningxuang and the other 3 stiffened their expressions slightly, embarrassed, having not expected Ling Luo Peak Master to remember this matter. Lu Yi was also somewhat embarrassed, sort of. Ling Luo Peak Master looked doubtfully at Lu Yi and then at Liu Ningxuang and the others. She did not say much else but simply suggested, "Looking at you all, you must be tired. Go rest first." Lu Yi nodded. The group returned to their accommodations, and then Lu Yi went to the cultivation room, eager to refine the top-grade immortal artifact and the 2 acquired spirit treasures he had just acquired. The sooner he finished refining them, the sooner he could find some use for them, adding more trump cards to his arsenal. Liu Ningxuang and the other 3 also planned to go back and recover on their own. Just then the voice of Ling Luo Peak Master rang out, "Little Minju, come with me." "Huh, do you need something, Master?" Donggong Mingyue asked, looking puzzled. "Quit your yapping and just come with me," snapped Ling Luo Peak Master at Donggong Mingyue. She was still very curious about why that damn kid would take the 4 of them with him, and even refer to it as a trump card. She felt she wouldn't be able to sleep without getting to the bottom of it. Chapter 621, 295, Yu Tianfeng's Anger and Hatred. Chapter 621, Chapter 295, Yu Tianfeng's Anger and Hatred. Lu Yi entered the cultivation room and began to refine the immortal artifact and the acquired spirit treasure. However, he hadn't been refining for long when, 2 days later, he was startled by a voice from outside the door. "You stinky boy, someone is looking for you." Lu Yi was taken aback, opened his eyes and looked puzzled. Who would be looking for him? Lu Yi opened the door to the cultivation room and saw the Ling Luo Peak Master standing outside, looking at him with a somewhat strange expression. Lu Yi looked at himself and found nothing amiss and asked with confusion, "Master, why are you looking at me like that?" The corner of Ling Luo Peak Master's mouth twitched, and she felt a bit embarrassed inside. Just 2 days ago, she had coerced and bribed until she got the answer she wanted from Donggong Ming Yue, but it was because of that cultivation technique. Even Ling Luo Peak Master herself was somewhat embarrassed. After all, she was still a maiden herself. "It's nothing." Ling Luo Peak Master pointed at the front door and said, "Someone is looking for you." "Who?" "You'll know when you see," Ling Luo Peak Master said somewhat impatiently, waving her hand and turning to enter the room. Because of what Donggong Ming Yue said, she now felt uncomfortable all over when facing this rascal. Lu Yi watched as Ling Luo Peak Master closed the door and curiously went to the door, only then to see a middle-aged man standing outside, looking quite restrained. Lu Yi was a bit stunned, as he didn't recognize this guy. Who was he? But he felt somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. When the middle-aged man saw Lu Yi, his eyes lit up, and a smile crept onto his face. "Young Master Lu Yi, hello, thank you for saving me from the Jiyu demon's formation the other day." Lu Yi, upon hearing this, suddenly realized. No wonder he felt familiar, it was the person he had saved before. But at that time, many people had been saved, and each one had been drained of a lot of essence blood, leaving them withered, which was quite different from now. Lu Yi smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist, you flatter me, it was nothing but a small effort. What brings you here?" The middle-aged man was taken aback, then said, "Right, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Wei Kang. Did you say you were looking for me?" "You're Wei Kang." Lu Yi was stunned, somewhat astonished. "Didn't your companion say you had died?" Wei Kang grimaced and said, "I don't know if it's luck or misfortune, but after I got separated from my companions, I was captured alive by the Jiyu demons. However, because the demons needed me for their formation, I didn't die but was taken to provide essence blood." Lu Yi smiled, "Then that must have been quite fortunate." Wei Kang went silent, then bitterly said, "Perhaps. Unfortunately, of the 3 of us captured, only I survived." Lu Yi sensed Wei Kang's somber and sad mood, remained silent for a while, then smiled. "Surviving is a good thing, fellow Taoist Wei Kang. The future is still long." Wei Kang came to his senses and smiled. "You're right, young Master Lu Yi. By the way, young Master Lu Yi, why were you looking for me?" Lu Yi smiled. "It's not exactly me looking for you, but Bu Yunjian heard you were at Zhenan battlefield and asked me to look after you." "The immortal ancestor asked you to look after me?" Wei Kang was startled, looking at Lu Yi with a face full of disbelief. Who was Lu Yi? After returning to his station, Wei Kang had heard about him. This was the second lady of the Yu family's direct disciple. Moreover, his talents were terrifying to this extent. He was no longer simply at the level of a direct disciple. And Bu Yunjian, while stronger than Wei Kang by a bit, it was a limited difference, and the gap between him and Lu Yi was like that of heaven and earth. How could such 2 individuals have any connection? Wei Kang always felt as if he were dreaming. Lu Yi smiled. "I also came from Tiananmen as a cultivator, and I have quite a connection with the Divine Sword sect." "You, young Master Lu Yi, are also a cultivator from Tiananmen," Wei Kang exclaimed, which he really did not know. If that was the case, then weren't they fellow countrymen? Yes. For Tiananmen to produce an extraordinary individual like young Master Lu Yi, it really is. Wei Kang stuttered a bit. Lu Yi smiled. "I'll be stationed here for a while, so if there's anything difficult, feel free to come to me. I'll help if I can." Wei Kang was somewhat at a loss, bowed and said, "Thank you, young Master Lu Yi." The 2 spoke for a few more moments. Then Lu Yi mentioned he needed to cultivate, and Wei Kang then left. Wei Kang returned to his residence, where several companions were waiting. When they saw Wei Kang come back, they all gathered around. "Wei Kang, what did young Master Lu Yi want with you?" "Yeah, when did you get to know such a person as young Master Lu Yi?" Their faces were full of curiosity. Standing tall and proud, Wei Kang's face sported a hint of pride. Young Master Lu Yi and I are both cultivators from Tiananmen, so naturally, it was about exchanging feelings as fellow countrymen. SSSS, hearing this, their eyes widened. Then they all exclaimed in surprise. Really? You're from the same planet? No way, Wei Kang. Could your lousy planet actually produce a monstrous talent like young Master Lu Yi? I don't believe it. Their companions each showed disbelief. Wei Kang replied excitedly, Why would I lie to you? Young Master Lu Yi even has a connection with my sect in Tiananmen. Why else would he want to see me? We do share some connections. Hearing this, Wei Kang's companions all showed faces filled with envy and jealousy. Who was Wei Kang? Coming from Tiananmen, his talents were not outstanding, and reaching the heavenly immortal level was already his limit. His space for growth in the future was small, and this was probably all for his life. Chapter 622, 295, Yu Tianfeng's Anger and Hatred 2. Chapter 622, Chapter 295, Yu Tianfeng's Anger and Hatred /2. Unexpectedly, he had ties with such significant characters. How could they not be envious? A month later, Lu Yi had just completed refining the yin-yang immortal robe when Yu Tianfeng, the military leader of the 6th Army of the Star Realm Army, arrived at the Zhenan battlefield. Having received the news, Lu Yi also left his quarters and, together with Ling Luo Peak Master and a few others, went to meet military leader Yu Tianfeng. Upon first seeing Yu Tianfeng, his brows were furrowed, and he wore a serious expression as he listened to Song Daheng's report. When Yu Tianfeng saw Lu Yi and Ling Luo Peak Master enter, his expression instantly softened, and he smiled. Ling Luo Yi, you've arrived. Uncle Yu. The two of them greeted him. Yu Tianfeng, with a beaming smile, nodded his head and looked at Lu Yi with great admiration. Song Daheng told me that affair on the Zhenan battlefield we owe much to you. Otherwise, our losses would have been significant. Lu Yi smiled and said, The brothers of the Star Realm Army are sacrificing their lives to hold off the Jiu demons on the Jiu battlefield. Naturally, I must do what I ought to. Song Daheng and others nearby, hearing this, all revealed smiles, their expressions full of agreement as they looked at Lu Yi. Yu Tianfeng's smile grew even broader as he nodded and said, I will report this matter to the family, although, for you, a reward probably isn't necessary, given that even the old ancestor has such high hopes for you. Even though Yu Tianfeng was extremely busy and hadn't returned to the Yu family, he was naturally aware of its major affairs. Given how highly the old ancestor valued Lu Yi, most of the Yu family's resources were available to him. Meanwhile, the captains of the Star Realm Army beside them were staring at Lu Yi with astounded faces. The old ancestor. Even Yu Tianfeng referred to him as the old ancestor, so they naturally knew who it was. The top powerhouse of the Yu family, the Yu family venerable. The Yu family venerable valued Lu Yi highly. They were utterly shocked, but, recalling Lu Yi's prior performance, they quickly calmed down and considered it natural. Lu Yi's talents and strength were simply too formidable. Next, we plan to investigate that area with the Great Array. Year Ling Luo, will you join us? Yu Tianfeng asked. We will, both Lu Yi and Ling Luo Peak Master responded without hesitation. For Ling Luo Peak Master, she urgently needed a great battle to temper herself and break through the true immortal bottleneck. The strength Lu Yi displayed made her, his master, feel somewhat urgent. If this continued, wouldn't this youngster become stronger than her? Ling Luo Peak Master felt she could still struggle. For Lu Yi, the opportunity was rare, and killing a profound immortal level Jiu demon would definitely bring substantial rewards. With such an opportunity available, naturally, he intended to take full advantage. Upon agreeing, the group set out under the leadership of Yu Tianfeng to the location where Lu Yi had previously encountered the Great Array. However, the Great Array was now deserted and very quiet. Lu Yi glanced at the pillar he had previously damaged. It hadn't been repaired, and he understood that the Jiu demons had likely withdrawn. Through his encounters, Lu Yi realized that, although the leaders among the Jiu demons were quite cunning, their powers were exceedingly strange. Lu Yi thought about the Jiu passage he had seen before and was very curious about what was on the other side. Yu Tianfeng looked around and then instructed everyone to split up and search. Everyone present was from the Star Realm Army, and teams of the Star Realm Army spread out in all directions. Lu Yi, Ling Luo Peak Master, Liu Ningxuang, and 4 others moved together. Yu Tianfeng was completely unworried about their safety, especially since Song Daheng had already informed him about Lu Yi's previous exploits. Although Yu Tianfeng couldn't comprehend how Lu Yi achieved it, he didn't pursue the matter further. Being valued by the old ancestor, it was clear that this was not something ordinary cultivators could understand. Although the Jiyu demons had withdrawn, and the profound immortal level Jiyu demons had even hidden themselves, the Star Realm army cultivators, under a carpet-style search, quickly dragged out one powerful profound immortal level Jiyu demon after another. In the past, even the Star Realm army station there wouldn't have mobilized such a force. After all, although the Star Realm army stationed at the Zhenin battlefield was strong enough to sweep through profound immortal level Jiyu demons, a carpet-style search was not easy, and they would also encounter Jiyu demons of equal or even greater strength. As long as it's not a major situation, they all evacuate first. This time, it was mainly because Yu Tianfeng was also there. As a golden, immortal level powerhouse, he was enough to suppress all the Jiyu demons in Zhenin battlefield. Generally speaking, the Star Realm army in the Tianluo Star Domain is not small in number, but given the vast expanse of the Tianluo Star Domain, even with the addition of the Yu family army and other legions, it's somewhat insufficient to defend the entire domain. Being able to maintain stability was already an achievement. This time, Yu Tianfeng had forsaken a powerful heavenly demon group to come here and naturally wanted to accomplish something significant. He spent some time thoroughly sweeping the Zhenin battlefield, ensuring its safety for hundreds or even thousands of years. For Lu Yi, today was also a time of harvest. After he issued the task, he leached off Yu Tianfeng's combat power, completing one task after another without needing to lift a finger himself. Very satisfying indeed. Meanwhile, the Ling Luo Peak Master next to him had several fierce battles with a few profound immortal-level Jiyu demons, ending up wounded all over after each battle. Fortunately, with Lu Yi there, he used the All Things Revival skill to heal the Ling Luo Peak Master, so there was no need to worry about his life. With Lu Yi healing him, the Ling Luo Peak Master was even less worried, engaging in continuous fierce battles, honing his own limitations through the bloodshed. Lu Yi watched, feeling a bit heartbroken but also somewhat relieved. Thankfully, after absorbing a massive amount of Tao treasures and Chaos treasures, Lu Yi now faced no bottlenecks in his advancements, making it incredibly easy. He wondered how long this situation could last. If he could reach Immortal Emperor level, that would be delightful. Apart from the Ling Luo Peak Master, Liu Ningxuang and the other three women were also influenced, each starting to hone themselves. These women, when fierce, were crazier than one another, completely disregarding their injuries, fighting relentlessly as if their lives depended on Lu Yi's healing ability. Lu Yi watched, feeling a bit scared. This cleansing continued for over a month. Finally, Song Daheng's team found the strongest of the Jiyu demons. Everyone heard the noise and rushed over. By the time Lu Yi and his group arrived, the Jiyu demon was already surrounded. It was covered in tentacles, with wisps of black fog swirling around. As soon as Lu Yi appeared, it set its eyes on him with an endless greed and desire. Child of the Tao, a psychic wave arose and it stared intently at Lu Yi. You are mine. Just then a golden streak of light flashed by. Yu Tianfeng arrived. The usually composed Yu Tianfeng, upon seeing this Jiyu demon, his pupils contracted, his face showing a hint of shock. You. Lu Yi and the others, upon hearing Yu Tianfeng's words, were all stunned, looking incredulously at Tianfeng. Yu Tianfeng actually knew this Jiyu demon. And it seemed this Jiyu demon was no ordinary being. Upon seeing Yu Tianfeng, the Jiyu demon with emotionless deep eyes said, "Aunt, it seems you recognize me." Yu Tianfeng's expression turned frosty. He scoffed. Your incarnation was annihilated at the Yisha battlefield, and I played a part in it. Upon hearing this, the Ling Luo Peak Master's face changed, looking at the Jiyu demon with disbelief in his eyes. The Jiyu demon, hearing this, tilted its head, its tentacles fluttering. That was merely a projection of my power. Once the balance tilts further, all of you will die. You are the one dying now. Immortal spirit power surged around Yu Tianfeng, seemingly provoked. His expression cold and fierce. He spread his hand, golden brilliance surged like shattering stars, twisting the space into tangled threads. The golden light enveloped the Jiyu demon. The Jiyu demon did not resist and was quickly eroded by the golden light. Before being eroded away, The Jihu demon took another deep look at Lu Yi, its greediness evident even as its form shattered. Lu Yi felt his scalp tingle. This thing was a bit twisted. As the Jihu demon dissipated, Lu Yi and the others looked at Yu Tianfeng. For a moment, no one spoke, everyone feeling the intense anger and even hatred Yu Tianfeng held towards the Jihu demon. Even the soldiers of the Star Realm army couldn't understand. However, they all understood that it was best not to disturb Tianfeng now. Only the Ling Luo Peak Master expressed some concern. Uncle Tianfeng. Yu Tianfeng came back to his senses, took a deep breath and said coldly, "It seems he was the leader this time. Let's go back." Everyone nodded silently. Chapter 623, 30 years later. Chapter 623, Chapter 296, 30 years later. Returning to the residence, Yu Tianfeng, seemingly in a very bad mood, said little and left straight away. Song Daheng and the others looked at each other, then bid farewell to Lu Yi, the Ling Luo Peak Master, and left for their respective duties. Only Lu Yi and a few others remained at the scene. The atmosphere turned silent. Lu Yi glanced at the thoughtful Ling Luo Peak Master and asked, "Master, why would Uncle Tianfeng behave like this?" The Ling Luo Peak Master was silent for a moment before he said, "Just now, Uncle Tianfeng mentioned the Yisha battlefield. Years ago, when the Yisha battlefield was in great turmoil, there were rumors that a very powerful Jihu demon broke out of Jihu and entered the Yisha battlefield, where a great battle ensued." Upon hearing this, Liu Ningxuang and the others looked over. "And then what?" "That battle saw many top experts from the entire Sky Falling Star domain head there, with the majority being killed or injured. Our Yu family even lost an immortal venerable level ancestor." "What, even an immortal venerable fell?" Lu Yi and the others were shocked. What level of a powerhouse was an immortal venerable? Based on what they knew, aside from the legendary immortal kings and immortal emperors who had disappeared, they were the most powerful cultivators in the entire universe. That such an existence could also die in battle. Yes, that battle is truly beyond imagination. I wasn't born at that time, so I did not experience it personally and don't know much. However, Uncle Tianfeng did participate in that battle. One of his loved ones died on that battlefield, the Peak Master said. These words caused Lu Yi and the others to fall silent. Lu Yi thought to himself, if something were to happen to Liu Ningxuang and the others, he would probably be very angry, perhaps even harbor hatred, right? I never knew Uncle Tianfeng had such an experience. At the golden immortal level, he still couldn't protect his loved one, Liu Ningxuang said with a wistful sigh. Indeed, the Ling Luo Peak Master nodded and then glanced in the direction Yu Tianfeng had left, thoughtfully adding, "But what's strange is, why would Uncle Tianfeng care so much about that Jihu demon just now? The conversation between them is hard not to speculate upon." Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang and the others recalled the previous conversation, their expressions subtly changing. From Uncle Tianfeng's words, it seems he knows that Jihu demon. The Jihu demon said, what he lost was just a sliver of strength projection. Could it be that this Jihu demon is related to that battle from years ago? Yunzai said with a gleam in her eyes. The others harbored similar thoughts. Just considering this possibility made them exchange glances with a chill in their hearts. If so, just how powerful is this Jihu demon? Merely a sliver of strength projection was able to cause such a commotion, Lu Yi murmured to himself. Who knows, our understanding of Jihu is very limited, the Ling Luo Peak Master shook his head. But, with such a powerful demon in Jihu, if a larger Jihu channel appears in the future then. The Ling Luo Peak Master did not continue, but Lu Yi and the others understood the implication. An immortal venerable is already among the strongest. If a larger Jihu channel appeared, it might even bring forth Jihu demons more powerful than an immortal venerable. If it truly came to that, would the Sky Falling Star domain be able to withstand Jihu? Even if such a powerful Jihu demon didn't emerge in the Sky Falling Star domain, the occurrence elsewhere in the universe could still bring about a catastrophe for all. The mood of everyone was extremely heavy. Let's return to our cultivation, the Ling Luo Peak Master shook his head. Lu Yi smiled. That's right, when the sky falls there will be tall ones to hold it up. Who knows, maybe the immortal kings and immortal emperors will pop up from somewhere when the time comes. They comforted themselves and reluctantly returned to their cultivation. Afterward, Lu Yi and a few others from the Ling Luo Peak left the residence again to kill some Jiu demons and gain experience. After another life-and-death battle with a profound immortal-level Jiu demon, the Peak Master had an epiphany and saw hope for breaking through to the profound immortal level. It was then that Lu Yi and the others left. As for the duty, they had already killed enough Jiu demons. Even if they hadn't killed enough, Lu Yi's contributions this time were sufficient for him to stay away from the Jiu battlefield for quite a while. Before departing, Lu Yi, seeing that Wei Kang hadn't completed his task, gave him some immortal pills and array talismans to protect his life. Over the years, Lu Yi had naturally not neglected alchemy Dao and array Tao. The immortal pills and array talismans he had crafted were powerful, enough to protect the life of a heavenly immortal-level cultivator. In doing so, he also fulfilled the exhortation of Bu Yunjian. Since the Ling Luo Peak Master needed to undergo closed-door cultivation for a breakthrough to the profound immortal level, the best environment for that was naturally on Jade Star. After leaving the Zhenan battlefield, the group made their way toward Jade Star. Some time later, Lu Yi and the others passed through the Stargate and returned to Jade Star. They had just disembarked from the heavenly boat when Yu Yuanwu came rushing out, looking excitedly at Lu Yi. Brother Yi, I heard you thwarted a major disaster in the Zhenan battlefield. Is that true? He asked. Lu Yi was startled. Where did you hear that from? Uncle Tianfeng sent a message back. It is said that a very fearsome Jiu demon appeared on the Zhenan battlefield, attempting to expand the Jiu channel. Then your name was mentioned. It was you who destroyed the Great Array, stopping that terrible Jiu demon's actions, Yu Yuanwu said with an admiring look at Lu Yi. Lu Yi slightly nodded, something like that. As expected of Brother Yi, you're my idol, Yu Yuanwu said with enthusiasm. It's a shame I wasn't there, otherwise I would have definitely joined you in your actions. Chapter 624, 30 years later 2. Chapter 624, Chapter 296, 30 years later /2. Lu Yi listened with an expression of complete bemusement. This guy was only at the heavenly immortal level. Did he really want to bring Lu Yi along to increase the difficulty? Right, just what is the deal with that Jiu demon? After hearing about Uncle Tianfeng's news, even the ancestor mobilized, joining my father and the others in heading to the other Jiu battlefields to investigate the situation, Yu Yuanwu said with a puzzled look. He had never seen such a large-scale mobilization before. Lu Yi and the others were all startled. Even the old man has gone out, the Ling Luo Peak Master inquired. Yeah, they all have. It's the first time I've seen my father so tense, Yu Yuanwu nodded. I asked my mother, but she wouldn't say anything. The Ling Luo Peak Master and the others exchanged glances. It seemed that the Jiu demon was even more terrifying than they had imagined. Just the revelation of a sliver of its power was enough to alarm so many strong individuals from the Yu family, even stirring the immortal venerable level ancestor. One could only imagine how fearsome that Jiu demon must be. Meanwhile, in the sky-falling star domain's most secluded Jiu battlefield, the Minjuan battlefield, the most powerful Jiu demon in this Jiu battlefield had even reached the immortal venerable level. It was for this reason that there were always two immortal venerable level ancestors from the Yu family, along with a substantial number of the Star Realm Army's formidable warriors stationed here year-round, just in case. At this moment, deep in the Minjuan battlefield, cultivators from the sky-falling star domain and the Jiu demon stood suspended in the air, confronting each other. Leading the way was Uncle Yu Cheng, the Yu family ancestor who wanted to take Lu Yi as his apprentice. And across from him was a humanoid Jiu demon with numerous arms, very similar to the one that had appeared in the Zhenan battlefield before. Mists of Jiu Qi swirled around the demon, as whispers of Jiu continuously escaped, causing great discomfort to many of the cultivators at the profound immortal level. Insects, if you hand over the child of Tao, when Jiu devours everything, I can keep you as my pets. The Jiu demon's mental fluctuation spread, with a tone that was cold and void. Yu Cheng's expression was icy as he looked at the Jiu demon and scoffed. After so many millions of years, you can talk tough when your Jiu channel widens. The child of Tao is a member of my Yu family. How could we possibly surrender him to a demon like you? Wait for him to grow up, he will be the guardian of the universe. You've missed your chance. It won't be long now, just a little more time. The Jiu demon's mental fluctuations dispersed, followed by the spread of his Jiu Qi. Kill. Brutal battle erupted immediately after. The Ling Luo Peak Master began to go into closed-door cultivation. Lu Yi and the others likewise returned to their residences for cultivation. After learning about the strength of the Jiyu demon, Lu Yi felt an enormous pressure inside. If the Jiyu channel were to spread, and immortal king-level Jiyu demons broke out, it would be over if no one stopped them. Others might not be reliable. He had to be diligent in his own cultivation. Fortunately, the Jiyu channel had been stable for many years without accidents. Hopefully, it would remain that way for a few tens of millions of years, right? Lu Yu was confident that with his current foundation and talent, coupled with the various rewards from the task panel, he would certainly reach the immortal venerable or even the immortal king level in a few tens of millions of years. By then, even if the Jiyu channel widened, he should be able to fend off some Jiyu demons. It took nearly a year for Lu Yi to refine the 2 acquired spirit treasures. Since the acquired spirit treasures were so powerful and required constant refining time, yet even for an immortal device, it wouldn't take Lu Yi too long to refine with his current capabilities. But that was just him. Ordinary heavenly immortal cultivators couldn't even consider refining acquired spirit treasures, let alone high-grade immortal devices. After refining the acquired spirit treasures, Lu Yi began his cultivation. Because he had completed quite a few tasks on the Jiyu battlefield during this time, he received numerous rewards for improving immortal skill levels, cultivation technique levels, and even law enhancements. Lu Yi managed to comprehend his remaining immortal techniques: Heavenly Gun, Thunder God Introduction, Meteor Technique, and Ice God Descent to the extreme level. As of now, all of Lu Yi's immortal techniques had been comprehended to their limits. However, Lu Yi was not content. He was now capable of comprehending golden immortal skills. If he had golden immortal skills, that would be fantastic. Especially those involving the power of laws, such as the Power Law, Sword Tao Law, and Immortal Law. If I could obtain these, my strength would increase significantly. In addition to that, Lu Yi had also brought his understanding of several immortal scriptures to the extreme limit of the Heavenly Immortal chapter. Because of the deepened comprehension of these immortal scriptures, Lu Yi's understanding of the Tao Yin Yang immortal scripture had also improved, elevating it to an even more mysterious realm. However, it was still slightly lacking compared to the chapter above Heavenly Immortal, the true immortal chapter. Lu Yi felt somewhat helpless. His foundation was indeed extremely solid, but he still knew too few immortal scriptures. The Tao Yin Yang immortal scripture involved the power of Tao and was incredibly intricate, requiring a lot of comprehension. The best solution was to comprehend a few more immortal scriptures, use them to make connections, and complete the deductions. Besides immortal techniques and immortal scriptures, Lu Yi also used all the law enhancement rewards from his previous task rewards. Now Lu Yi's Space Law, Immortal Law, Sword Tao Law, Ice Law, Thunder Law, Natural Law, Yin Yang Law, Star Law, and so on, had all reached 80% completion. It wasn't that Lu Yi didn't want to progress to a higher level. Based on his own lengthy experience with laws, an 80% completion of the laws was enough for him to use for now. At least before reaching the true immortal level, it would definitely be more than sufficient. Aside from cultivating and comprehending, Lu Yi didn't neglect his understanding of the alchemy Tao, array Tao, and the path of artifact refining. During the remaining time, Lu Yi focused on cultivating the Tao Yin Yang immortal scripture, although, in most cases, he was engaging in dual cultivation with Liu Ningxuang and the other 3. Time flew by rapidly, and 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. One day, Yu Xin and the Yu family ancestor, along with some high-ranking members, returned, causing quite a stir. Upon hearing that Lu Yi had already returned, Yu Xin immediately wanted to see him. Lu Yi met Yu Xin in his study, and upon seeing Yu Xin, Lu Yi was stunned and somewhat alarmed. At that moment, Yu Xin looked extremely haggard, with several injuries on his body, emitting strands of Jiyu Qi. That Jiyu Qi was sinister and dense, causing even Lu Yi's heart to race with fear. "Master, what happened to you?" Yu Xin coughed and waved his hand weakly. "I fought a battle with a demon in the Minjuan battlefield. Don't be fooled by my serious injuries. That immortal monarch-level Jiyu demon was scattered to the winds by me." Yu Xin stood up straight, very determined, but then he aggravated his wounds and coughed several times. Lu Yi's mouth twitched slightly. "Master, you're impressive." Yu Xin's mouth quirked. It's passable. After all, I was once one of the top geniuses of the Yu family. Ha ha ha, master, let me help you dispel the Jiu Qi. Lu Yi chuckled drily and suggested. That would be good. Tianfeng told me that you can wield the Taoist energy with ease and can dispel the Jiu Qi, so let's give it a try. Yu Xin nodded in agreement. Round Lu Yi, Tao patterns flashed erratically, with dense Taoist energy emanating and enveloping Yu Xin. Almost instantly, the Jiu Qi around Yu Xin let out a sharp, incomparable whisper. Black mist surged violently, even more so than the Jiu storm Lu Yi had encountered in the Zhenan battlefield before. His face changing color, he immediately wanted to use the Immortal ascension technique. Just then Yu Xin snorted coldly, and the black mist was instantly suppressed. Lu Yi's expression grew serious, his heart shocked. These were just lingering strands of Jiu Qi, yet they were terrifying to such an extent. It was only he who was able to face such daunting Jiu Qi. Any average profound immortal would probably not last long. Is this the power contained by an immortal monarch-level Jiu demon? Terribly frightening. Thanks to Yu Xin's suppression, although the Jiu Qi was struggling and twisting, it was still slowly being extinguished. After one full day, Lu Yi completely wiped away the Jiu Qi from Yu Xin's body. As the Jiu Qi vanished, the wounds on Yu Xin's body writhed and began to heal at an incredibly fast rate. It had been the Jiu Qi that had been preventing Yu Xin's injuries from healing. A moment later, Yu Xin opened his eyes, which flashed brightly. Looking at Lu Yi with an extremely luminous gaze and a face full of smiles, he exclaimed, "Good, good, good. As expected of a prodigy endowed with Taoist energy, in the future you will undoubtedly be a great enemy of Jiu." Lu Yi smiled. "You overpraise me, master." Yu Xin waved his hand. "Don't call me master." Lu Yi was taken aback. "Just call me Uncle Yu," Yu Xin said. "By the way, Ling Luo is in seclusion, cultivating for a breakthrough. Once she does, I will betroth her to you." Lu Yi. His mind was full of question marks as he stared blankly at Yu Xin. Chapter 625, 297. Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion volumes of immortal scripture. Chapter 625. Chapter 297. Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion volumes of immortal scripture. Wait, hold on. Master Grandfather, does my master know about this? Lu Yi quickly spoke up. Yu Xin smiled. That girl and you are already bound by karma. She won't oppose this. Don't I understand her? Lu Yi was full of question marks, thinking you probably really don't understand. Based on his understanding of his master, if it wasn't her who brought it up, it probably wouldn't fly. Lu Yi was about to speak again when Yu Xin waved his hand. All right, let this matter be. The ancestor has also returned. Now that you've come back from the Zhenan battlefield, you can visit the ancestor. He's very keen on teaching you. To tell the truth, with your current strength, how could Ling Luo, that girl, be your master? Lu Yi's eyes lit up. Could finally hear the Yu family ancestor preach the Tao. That's an immortal, venerable level power. Lu Yi quickly muttered to himself in his heart, I want to listen to the Yu family ancestor preach the Tao. Task. Listen to the Yu family ancestor preach the Tao. Reward. Select a golden immortal skill level +4/4. Select a cultivation technique level +4/4. One opportunity for enlightenment. Accept the task, yes, no. Lu Yi looked at the rewards and felt no great ripples in his heart. After all, he had already guessed that the rewards for the task wouldn't be bad. The reward was as expected. Since that's the case, I'll go visit right now, he said. Good, I'll take you there, Yu Xin nodded. The two walked out of the door and hadn't even left the courtyard when they saw Yu Yuanwu returning from outside. Upon seeing Yu Xin and Lu Yi, Yu Yuanwu was taken aback, then quickly flew over. Father, brother Yi, where are you going? Yu Xin glanced at Yu Yuanwu. HMMPH, where have you been loafing around? You should learn from Yi. His talent far surpasses yours. Look how composed he is. Ever since he's been back from the Zhenan battlefield, he's been cultivating non-stop. Upon hearing this, Lu Yi felt a bit odd. Why did he feel like he had become someone else's exemplary child? Yu Yuanwu's face was full of grievance. Father, how can I compare with brother Yi? My immortal skill has reached tranquility. I've had to spar with others for enlightenment. I'm not idling away my time. Hearing Yu Yuanwu's words, Yu Xin's expression softened slightly but still said gruffly, We're going to see the ancestor. Upon hearing this, Yu Yuanwu's eyes shone. Could it be? Brother Yi is going to receive the ancestor's instruction. Brother Yi, take me with you. Take your little brother along. Yu Xin saw Yu Yuanwu almost pounce to hug Lu Yi and his face darkened, feeling that this boy was too embarrassing. But then Yu Xin thought, if Yu Yuanwu really could go along and listen to the Tao, it would also be a fortuitous opportunity. He looked at Lu Yi. Year, if you speak up, the ancestor should grant you this favor. Lu Yi, upon hearing this, was stunned and unconsciously touched his own face. Was his face really that influential now? Looking at the expectant Yu Yuanwu and the similarly hopeful Yu Xin, he smiled. Since the ancestor will heed my request, then naturally, I'm willing to bring Yuanwu along to listen to the Tao. Yu Xin showed a hint of a smile, and beside him, Yu Yuanwu was overjoyed. Brother Yi, you're really my good brother. Lu Yi felt a full head of question marks and a shiver through his body. Keep your distance, kid. What good brother, isn't this disgusting? Yu Xin also glared at Yu Yuanwu. In the future, Year will become your brother-in-law. Upon hearing this, Yu Yuanwu's eyes brightened even more. Really? Brother-in-law, that's wonderful. Lu Yi listened to the father and son's conversation with twitching lips. All right, let's go, he said. With a sweep of his sleeve robe, Yu Xin took Lu Yi and Yu Yuanwu, and they disappeared from the spot. In the valley where the Yu family ancestor resided, Yu Cheng sat cross-legged in front of a bamboo house, looking at the nearby stream. The white-haired figure seemed a bit more aged than before. Lu Yi could sense a trace of weakness in Yu Cheng and was shocked. The ancestor is injured. Yu Xin and Yu Yuanwu both heard this and looked at Lu Yi in astonishment. Yu Yuanwu's astonishment was one of disbelief. Initially tense about meeting the ancestor, he quickly tugged at Lu Yi's hand. Brother-in-law, what are you talking about? How can the ancestor, a person of such standing, be injured? But Yu Xin's reaction was different. Surprised, he said, Year, you've actually noticed that the ancestor is injured. Yu Yuanwu was stunned, full of question marks, and stiffly turned to Yu Xin in disbelief. In his mind, the invincible ancestor, injured. Yu Cheng turned his head from a distance, smiled at Lu Yi. Indeed, I wasn't wrong about you. Such a rare youth, close to the Tao, indeed extraordinary. I've already suppressed the Jihu Qi within my body, and yet you've still seen through it. Lu Yi thought of the Jihu Qi that Yu Xin had, and a chill went through him. He hadn't expected that even the Yu family ancestor, such a figure, had also been affected. He suggested, Ancestor, perhaps I can help you eradicate the Jihu Qi. Yu Xin nodded in agreement. Yes, Ancestor, the Jihu Qi that was affecting me has been eradicated by this kid. Hearing this, Yu Cheng appeared calm. He had already sensed that Yu Xin was in great shape upon their arrival. With Yu Xin's capabilities, it would require quite some time to eradicate the Jihu Qi himself, and naturally, it wouldn't happen so soon. The only explanation was Lu Yi. Despite his initial surprise, Yu Cheng was, after countless eons of experiences, an immortal venerable, and he quickly regained his composure. Chapter 626, 297, Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion copies of immortal scripture. Chapter 626, Chapter 297, Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion copies of immortal scripture /2. Yu Cheng, with a trace of a kind smile on his aged face, said, As long as you have that in mind, I am satisfied. As for the Jihu Qi, it doesn't affect me much. He raised his eyebrows, a subtle, indescribable sense of authority emanating from him. I have dealt with Jihu demons for 830 million years, slaying countless numbers of them. What can this bit of Jihu Qi do to me? On the contrary, it is you who should be careful. If this Jihu Qi harms you, the loss would outweigh the gain. Feeling Yu Cheng's concern, Lu Yi's heart also warmed. Seeing Yu Cheng's firm stance, he no longer said more. Yu Cheng glanced at a somewhat nervous Yu Yuanwu and asked in a low voice, This little guy, he's your child, Yu Xin? Yu Xin nodded, smiling, Yes, Ancestor. Why is he here? Lu Yi chuckled, Ancestor, I asked him to join me for the lecture. Upon hearing this, Yu Cheng looked at Yu Yuanwu and then nodded slightly. Well then, let him stay. However, whether or not he can understand is up to his fate. Thank you, Ancestor. A smile spread across Yu Yuanwu's face as he looked at Lu Yi with gratitude. Yu Cheng pointed to the space in front of him. Take a seat. Seeing this, Yu Xin said with a smile, Then I'll take my leave, Ancestor. Lu Yi and Yu Yuanwu sat across from Yu Cheng. Yu Cheng did not say anything else and directly began his lecture. An immortal venerable level expert, naturally, had extremely profound insights into cultivation. At the immortal venerable level, the inner world has been cultivated to the limit, and one's comprehension of the law has also nearly reached completion. At this juncture, it's mainly about the insight into the Tao, merging the inner world with the Tao, and comprehending the power of the Tao origin. Even Lu Yi's understanding of the law and various forces paled in comparison to that of an immortal venerable level patriarch like Yu Cheng. Listening to the patriarch's teachings, he was utterly fascinated. With a foundation forged by a Tao treasure and a chaos treasure, Lu Yi's talent was truly unique in the universe. Even with the profound teachings of the Yu family ancestor, he was able to gain insights. On the other hand, Yu Yuanwu was completely numb. He wore an expression that screamed, "Who am I, where am I, and why am I here?" He listened, but he couldn't understand it all. Yu Yuanwu glanced at Lu Yi, who seemed to be deep in thought, and his heart felt like a river of sorrow flowing in reverse. They were both heavenly immortals. Why was there such a huge gap? Yu Yuanwu's mindset was on the verge of collapsing. The lecture lasted 3 days, and throughout this time, Yu Yuanwu was on pins and needles, while Lu Yi gained deep insights and was supremely satisfied. "All right, that's enough for today. Go back and reflect on what you've learned," Yu Cheng said with a satisfied smile as he looked at Lu Yi. As an immortal venerable level expert, he understood that Lu Yi had truly gained insight, unlike Yu Yuanwu, who looked like a complete fool. Lu Yi nodded excitedly, saying, "Thank you for the lecture, ancestor." Yu Cheng waved his hand. "You are also part of the Yu family now. With a natural talent even better than my direct descendants, it's worth it for me to act as the lecturer, even if it's just to create karmic ties." Yu Cheng continued with a smile. "What a pity, immortal kings and immortal emperors are hard to find in this world. Otherwise, with your talent, even they would be tempted to take you as a disciple." Yu Yuanwu, standing by the side, was stupefied, looking at Lu Yi as if he were a deity. He knew his brother-in-law was exceptionally talented, but he had no idea that the ancestor would give such an exaggerated appraisal. Even immortal emperors would compete to take him as a disciple. What kind of talent would that require? Wasn't that a bit too exaggerated? Lu Yi felt somewhat embarrassed by Yu Cheng's praise. "You flatter me, ancestor." Yu Cheng just smiled and then said, "By the way, if there's anything you need on Jade Star, just let me know." On hearing this, Lu Yi instantly thought of his own needs. "Ancestor, I do have some things I need." "Oh, like what?" Yu Cheng asked with a smile. "I've been deducing a cultivation technique that's unique to myself recently and need to read extensively to increase my foundation. So I hope to look at some immortal scriptures or certain special cultivation methods. Additionally, I've reached a certain stage in my law comprehension and have also cultivated the golden immortal skill of the space law. I want to cultivate some other golden immortal skills," Lu Yi said with a smile. Yu Yuanwu was beside him, feeling numb. Deducing immortal scriptures. Planning to grasp other immortal scriptures to increase his foundation. But the most outrageous thing was that his brother-in-law had already grasped a golden immortal skill. What kind of monster was this? Golden immortal skills. As a prodigious member of the Yu family, he knew precisely what they were. Immortal techniques that only golden immortal level cultivators could comprehend and cultivate. The most basic requirement was to have a law comprehension of at least 50%, or even 60% to 70%. His brother-in-law had already learned a golden immortal skill, and he wasn't satisfied yet, intending to learn more. Yu Yuanwu felt that maybe they were not cultivating the same kind of immortality. Even Yu Cheng, upon hearing Lu Yi's words, was somewhat taken aback. In his billion years of existence, he had never seen a cultivator with such a natural gift. But upon thinking of the Tao aura surrounding Lu Yi, Yu Cheng felt somewhat relieved. A cultivator favored by the Tao, even at the heavenly immortal level, attempting to deduce immortal scriptures and mastering a golden immortal skill was normal, right? Yu Cheng muttered to himself, only half convinced. His face wearing a gentle smile, Yu Cheng said, "I see." Chapter 627, 297, Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion volumes of immortal scripture 3. Chapter 627, Chapter 297, Yu Family Ancestor Preaches, 30 billion volumes of immortal scripture /3. He took out a white jade token and said, "This is my token. With it, you can access the majority of the areas in the Yu family's book collection pavilion. You should be able to find what you're looking for. Upon hearing this, Lu Yi's eyes lit up, his heart filled with surprise and delight. He had originally just wanted the Yu family ancestor to find him a few immortal scriptures and golden immortal skills. But to think that the Yu family ancestor would open up the sect's book storage pavilion for him. One must know that, whether it be a sect or a clan, the book storage pavilion as a core site of heritage is always of utmost importance and never open to outsiders. It was unexpected that the Yu family ancestor would, without a moment's hesitation, give the token to Lu Yi. Lu Yi felt very heartened. Since the Yu family was so good to him, naturally, he would not let them down. If he were to grow stronger in the future, achieving the status of immortal king or even immortal emperor, he would also see to it that the Yu family grew stronger with him. He accepted the token and said earnestly, "Thank you, ancestor. I won't stand on ceremony." The Yu family ancestor chuckled softly, "Go ahead, cultivate well." In his heart, the ancestor harbored some worries. The appearance of Lu Yi on the Jiyu battlefield and the Tao aura he emitted had evidently alerted the Jiyu, and the coming situation might be even more severe than the present. The Yu family ancestor sighed inwardly with relief, thankfully that the existence of the Jiyu channel prevented the strong Jiyu demons from entering this universe. One must know that even the aura the ancestor felt from the channel was enough to make him despair. If such beings were to come to this universe, then perhaps the entire universe would be unable to withstand them. Holding the token, Lu Yi left the valley with Yu Yuanwu. Yu Yuanwu looked at Lu Yi with a face full of envy and jealousy, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Brother-in-law, the ancestor is really too good to you, right? Such access to the book storage pavilion, and you're almost on par with my father." One must know that Yu Yuanwu's father is the head of the Yu family. Lu Yi, exasperated, replied, "Yuanwu, stop calling me brother-in-law. We're still friends." "Why? I'm afraid Master would kill me if we went that far." "How is that possible? With your strength, brother-in-law, it won't be long before you subdue my sister. Be a bit more confident." Yu Yuanwu patted Lu Yi's shoulder as he offered consolation. Lu Yi, exasperated, thought to himself, "This kid is even consoling me now." He shook his head helplessly. "Where is the book storage pavilion?" "I'll take you there." Yu Yuanwu's eyes lit up as he led Lu Yi to the book storage pavilion. Considering the vastness of Jade Star, it was fortunate that Lu Yi's skill with the space law was not slow. With Yu Yuanwu directing the way, it didn't take long for the two of them to arrive at a place in the sky. Lu Yi stared at the huge expanse of palaces floating in the distance, no smaller than the Tiananmen Eastern Domain, his expression numb. "The book storage pavilion you're talking about, it's not this, is it?" "Right," Yu Yuanwu replied matter-of-factly. "This is indeed our Yu family's book collection pavilion. Brother-in-law, go on in." Lu Yi, still numb, followed Yu Yuanwu into the book storage pavilion. He finally understood just how many texts a superpower of the immortal venerable level could contain. The guardian of the book storage pavilion was an elderly golden immortal peak elder. Upon seeing the token in Lu Yi's hand, he directly produced a cultivation treasure, manifesting countless immortal scriptures for Lu Yi to peruse. "The Yu family has stood for 46 billion years, and in that time we've collected 300 billion volumes of immortal scriptures. Young man, which ones would you like?" The elder, named Xianxia, introduced the collection enthusiastically. 300 billion volumes of immortal scriptures. Lu Yi's expression was one of numb shock, filled with question marks. Chapter 628, 298. Enlightenment State, a great era is approaching. Chapter 628, Chapter 298. Enlightenment State, a great era is approaching. So many immortal scriptures, even if Lu Yi studied one a year, would need 300 billion years to complete. His head grew bigger at the thought. Fortunately, his goal was not to master all of the immortal scriptures. Lu Yi's idea was simple: to study various immortal scriptures, grasp the essence of these scriptures, and then integrate them into his own immortal scripture to deduce a higher-level Tao Yin-Yang immortal scripture. Therefore, Lu Yi, through the information about immortal scriptures recorded in the cultivation treasures, selected 10 different laws that were also the laws he currently mastered. He planned to first cultivate these immortal scriptures to their limit. Seeing that Lu Yi chose immortal scriptures of different laws, and 10 at once, Both Yu Hangsu and Yu Yuanwu were quite astonished. As a cultivator stationed in the book storage pavilion, Yu Hangsu was naturally strong, being a peak golden immortal, seasoned and well-informed. He looked at Lu Yi and said earnestly, "Young fellow, having received the ancestor's token, your talent might be unparalleled throughout the ages, but 10 different laws, immortal scriptures, isn't that taking on too much? I recommend you start with 2 or 3. After all, no immortal scripture is simple. The cultivators who established these scriptures were at least of golden immortal strength, and their comprehension of the laws reached an extreme. Thus, cultivation would be quite difficult." Lu Yi smiled and said, "Senior Yu, rest assured, I am aware of what I'm undertaking. These immortal scriptures are all laws I have mastered. I have a certain understanding of these laws, which is of great help in comprehending the immortal scriptures." Yu Hangsu, Yu Yuanwu. The two men looked at Lu Yi, their minds filled with question marks. What on earth is this guy talking about? This doesn't mean that this guy has mastered 10 different laws and seems to have a strong grasp on them. Even Yu Hangsu was dumbfounded. When he had first seen the token in Lu Yi's hand, he was somewhat clueless as to why the ancestor would give such significant authority to a foreign cultivator. Even if this cultivator was exceptionally talented and had a very good relationship with the Yu family, it should not be to this extent. But now he realized what the ancestor was thinking. This was no longer just a matter of extraordinary talent. This was simply some freakish talent. Even Yu Hangsu, a peak golden immortal, couldn't understand it. One could only say that the ancestor's approach was indeed flawless. By forming a good relationship with such a prodigy, the future rewards were unimaginably great. Although Yu Hangsu was also a peak golden immortal with extensive knowledge, unlike the adjacent stunned Yu Yuanwu, he quickly recovered and smiled. "Since you, young fellow, are certain, I will not urge further. I'll fetch these immortal scriptures for you." "Thank you, senior," said Lu Yi. Yu Hangsu left, and Yu Yuanwu finally regained his composure, looking at Lu Yi with a bizarre expression. "Brother-in-law, have you really mastered so many laws?" Lu Yi nodded, "Yes." "Are you sure you're not lying to me?" Lu Yi, with a head full of black lines, "What is there to lie about with this? Why would I lie to you?" Yu Yuanwu fell silent, realizing there was nothing worthwhile to discuss with this person. Soon, Yu Hangsu brought over the immortal scriptures. Afterward, Lu Yi also chose a golden immortal skill of power law, a golden immortal skill of sword Dao, and a golden immortal skill of yin-yang law. He planned to cultivate these first, and satisfied left thereafter. All the way, Yu Yuanwu was greatly shocked, sulky, and he left silently after returning. Lu Yi also returned to his residence and began his cultivation. The various rewards from completing tasks at the Jiu battlefield that elevated the immortal scriptures level hadn't been used up. Lu Yi planned to finish using these first. As for the Mortal Realm chapter, with Lu Yi's current comprehension, needless to say, he could completely grasp it after reading a few times. When reaching the Tribulation Transcendence realm, reaching the extreme level would take some more time. However, Lu Yi didn't spend this time and directly used the reward for raising the level of the immortal scripture, quickly enhancing his comprehension. As time elapsed, Lu Yi cultivated each of the immortal scriptures to the extreme level of the true immortal chapter, gaining deep insights into the essence of various laws and accumulating sufficient foundation. Still, deducing the Tao Yin-Yang immortal scripture would take no short amount of time. Lu Yi also didn't slowly progress bit by bit, especially since he had an opportunity for enlightenment as a reward from listening to the Yu family ancestors' teachings. It was only after using it that Lu Yi realized the difference between the reward for immortal venerable level enlightenment and the opportunity for sudden enlightenment from his own master. They were entirely different concepts. The enlightenment reward even allowed Lu Yi to have sudden insights into the Tao itself. Such an opportunity, even for the current Lu Yi, was extremely rare. It meant that Lu Yi's understanding of the Tao would increase at an incredibly fast pace. After using the enlightenment reward, even though he used the great array to conceal his aura, Taoist energy still seeped out. Even just the seeping out of the Taoist energy was startling to behold. Over the space of thousands of kilometers above the Yuzin mansion, strands of Taoist energy spilled out, and Tao patterns flickered vaguely in the void, the dense feeling of the laws alerting all the upper echelons of Jade Star. In just a moment, terrifying auras from all directions furiously converged on this place. Among them was even the Yu family ancestor, Yu Cheng. Yu Cheng, seeing the Taoist energy around and the faint appearance of Tao patterns, showed a gleam of wild joy in his eyes. The countless years of refinement had nearly always seen Yu Cheng seldom truly express his emotions, but this time he couldn't contain himself. Chapter 629, 298, Enlightenment State, The Dawn of a Great Era Part 2. Chapter 629, Chapter 298, Enlightenment State, The Dawn of a Great Era Part 2. Such a rich Taoist energy what a heaven-sent opportunity. Yu Cheng couldn't help but mutter to himself, his pale hair fluttering slightly with excitement. All those nearby were golden immortal-level experts of the Yu family, and at this moment, they were equally stunned and overjoyed. Ancestor, what's happening? Yes, Ancestor, could it be that the Tao favors our Yu family? How could such Tao patterns and such an opportunity appear out of nowhere? Yu Cheng's gaze swept around before finally resting on Lu Yi's cultivation room, his eyes shimmering with shock. With his cultivation base, he could naturally see through the great array arranged by Lu Yi. He could feel an even richer Taoist energy inside the cultivation room. Even he found it hard to believe. The Taoist energy was too concentrated, almost as if the power of Tao was clamoring to deliver its power to this place, to that person. Even with Yu Cheng's many years of experience, he couldn't help feeling a bit envious now. This damn, a cultivator at the peak of the immortal venerable, hasn't received the favor of the Tao. Yet a little guy at heavenly immortal level is so cherished by the Tao. This simply defies all reason. However, he quickly calmed his emotions, for this was a great opportunity for Lu Yi, but wasn't it also one for them? Their opportunity was Lu Yi. Without Lu Yi, without the waves he caused in the Tao, how could they have felt such a thick Taoist energy? This was almost impossible. His thoughts turned as a smile appeared on his face. Indeed, it's a great opportunity, however, this chance belongs to Yi. If I'm not mistaken, he probably has entered the enlightenment state that, according to ancient legends, only immortal kings and immortal emperors in extremely rare cases have managed to enter. Enlightenment state, could it be, the state that allows one to directly comprehend the Tao, to sort out the Tao origin? The golden immortals around him were all worldly wise. Even so, they all stared with disbelieving eyes. Since the disappearance of immortal kings and immortal emperors, when had such a state ever appeared? Golden immortals of the Yu family looked at each other. After a moment of silence, someone spoke up. The reappearance of the enlightenment state in this world, could this mean that a great era is upon us? The immortal kings and emperors absent for eons could re-emerge in this world. This sentiment was shared by the other cultivators as well. Their gazes swept around before finally settling in the direction of Lu Yi's cultivation room, with an indescribable look in their eyes. This youngster has entered the enlightenment state, which means his path to the immortal king level will be smooth, right? Everyone fell silent once again. Even as golden immortals, considered upper-class figures across the entire universe, they were deeply shaken at this moment. The reappearance of immortal kings and immortal emperors after eons, what did that signify? They knew better than anyone. After another moment of silence, the beautiful woman who had watched Lu Yi and Yu Yuanwu spar earlier had a glint in her eye. She looked at Lu Yi's cultivation room and said with a grin, "When the little guy comes out, I really should get to know him better." The cultivators next to her were all taken aback, with several glancing at the woman who had just spoken. "Look, Bing Xuan, you're also getting on in years, and it's not quite appropriate. I have a descendant in my direct lineage." The middle-aged man had not finished speaking when he felt the icy killing intent from Yu Bingxuan. She looked at the middle-aged man with a smile. "Oh, you think I'm old?" The cultivators around him were clearly amused, and the middle-aged man's mouth twitched. Not old at all, still young. "But to speak the truth, I also have a descendant of direct lineage, with peerless grace and talent, who will definitely achieve greatness and would be well matched with Lu Yi. I have one too." One after another, the golden immortal cultivators spoke up with shining eyes. However, those without outstanding direct lineage daughters had very gloomy expressions, scornfully looking at the talkative cultivators and sneered. "Your scheming has been heard from millions of light years away, ringing out loud and clear." "What do you mean? Old three, you're just jealous because we have outstanding direct lineage daughters and you do, you old bachelor." "What did you say? Are you asking for a fight?" Come, come, let me witness your primordial spirit undying technique. Fine, today I'll let you witness it. As these golden immortal practitioners were about to argue, Yu Cheng let out a light snort from the side. One by one, the golden immortal level practitioners fell silent. Yu Cheng glanced at the crowd and said, "Look at yourselves. Do you resemble practitioners of the Yu family? As for Year's matter, there's no need for you to worry. Ling Luo has been with Year the longest. If there's anyone to be with him, it should be Ling Luo." The expressions of some golden immortals with outstanding direct lineage stiffened for a moment. Other golden immortals, taking delight in their misfortune, laughed. Yu Cheng said coldly, "Such opportunities may not come often in the future. Aren't you going to seize the moment for enlightenment? Yu Xin has not come out yet. He must be comprehending the Tao. Can't you take the opportunity?" Hearing this, the golden immortal practitioners' eyes brightened, and they each found a spot to start their enlightenment. Even Yu Cheng was no exception. He took his place outside Lu Yi's courtyard, sitting cross-legged, and began his enlightenment. The Taoist energy was most potent here. After all, it was the closest to Lu Yi, and Yu Cheng was very satisfied. Other golden immortals who tried to approach were warded off by his stern gaze. However, Yu Cheng couldn't help but smack his lips when he thought of the great array arranged inside Lu Yi's cultivation room earlier. The effects would surely be better without the obstruction of the array, wouldn't they? What a pity! Yu Cheng did not dwell on it any longer and started his enlightenment. Enlightenment opportunities and instances of sudden enlightenment were indeed vastly different. Even the duration was not the same. An enlightenment opportunity lasted for a full month before it ended. Half a month ago, Lu Yi had already deduced the true immortal chapter of the Tao Yin Yang scripture, even faintly touching upon the profound immortal chapter. Regrettably, he had little understanding of the profound immortal chapter of other immortal scriptures, and lacking the essence of profound immortal cultivation, his foundations were not solid enough, so he had to give up reluctantly. However, once he had comprehended some immortal scriptures to the profound immortal chapter in the future, deducing the profound immortal chapter of the Tao Yin Yang scripture would naturally come as easily as water flowing along its course. Even if he was slightly lacking, such enlightenment opportunities would surely come again. After all, there were plenty of chances to listen to the teachings of the Yu family ancestor. After spending half a month to deduce the true immortal chapter of the Tao Yin Yang scripture, Lu Yi went on to comprehend other matters, such as understanding the Tao patterns, insight into his own laws, and enlightenment of array Tao and alchemy Tao. One could say the harvest was extremely rich. Just one opportunity for enlightenment had allowed Lu Yi to systematically organize his knowledge, gain a deeper understanding of himself, and acquire a more profound realization of the path of the Tao for the future. With his enlightenment yielding plentiful results, Lu Yi, striking while the iron was hot, did not stop there and immediately began to comprehend golden immortal skills. The golden immortal skills that Lu Yi chose were the Power Law World King Fist. The moment he heard this name, Lu Yi chose it because, in his previous life, he had seen a very popular anime that featured this martial art. It was mighty. Of course, this World King Fist was not quite the same as that in the anime. It was an explosive one-time martial art, using the power of Qi and blood to unleash incredibly powerful force. In theory, a golden immortal level practitioner who has cultivated it to perfection can destroy a constant star system with a single punch. And perfection for Lu Yi was not the limit. When he cultivated it to his limit, the power would naturally be greater. The only regret was that his cultivation base was merely at the heavenly immortal level, far from being as powerful as a golden immortal. Of course, for him at the moment, it was more than sufficient. Apart from the Power Law's golden immortal skill, there was also the Sword Tao's golden immortal skill, 9 elements killing sword, and the Yin Yang Law's golden immortal skill, Yin Yang immortal technique. The former was a Sword Tao martial art, while the latter was a defensive golden immortal skill. Together with the sky tunneling technique, Lu Yi had golden immortal level immortal techniques for attack, defense, and speed, making him a veritable all-round warrior. Chapter 630-299, The Profound Immortal Thunder Tribulation, Eager to Return. Chapter 630, Chapter 299, The Profound Immortal Thunder Tribulation, Eager to Return. In this way, Lu Yi spent each day immersed in the golden immortal skill, cultivating the Tao Yin-Yang Immortal scripture, reflecting on the alchemy Tao, array Tao, and various other Taoist skills. Time passed, and 20 years later, Luya finally broke through to the second level of Heavenly Immortal. After another 100 years, Luya broke through to the third level of Heavenly Immortal. During this period, Luya visited the Yu family ancestor to listen to his teachings again, but this time Yu Yuanwu did not accompany him. After all, he couldn't understand a thing. Going there was a waste of time and somewhat bothersome to the ancestor. It was simply more relaxing not to go. What made Lu Yi somewhat regretful was that, after using his enlightenment opportunity once again, the Yu family ancestor announced he was entering seclusion. Lu Yi had originally planned to listen to the teachings a few more times, to enter the enlightenment state and refine all of his cultivation techniques and immortal skills, and to further enhance his understanding of the laws. Unexpectedly, the Yu family ancestor entered seclusion so soon, leaving him quite helpless. It wasn't just the Yu family ancestor. Even Yu Xin and some of the Yu family's higher-ups consecutively went into closed-door cultivation. Initially, Lu Yi was somewhat confused, not understanding why, but after asking around, he finally had an epiphany. It was his enlightenment state that even golden immortals and immortal venerable elders could benefit from. Because of the Tao tide brought about by Lu Yi's enlightenment state, they too had profound insights and made progress. Lu Yi was somewhat surprised by this, but also very happy. After all, he had a good relationship with the Yu family. If the high-level members of the Yu family grew stronger, it was as if his own backing became more robust, which was certainly a cause for happiness. Lu Yi felt some regret that, had he known this would happen, he would have dismantled the Great Array when using the enlightenment state, which would have made the Tao tide even more powerful. Unfortunately, it was too late. In fact, even the high-level members of the Yu family, including Elder Yu Cheng, had not anticipated that, in just a century, Lu Yi would cause a second Tao tide. When the second Tao tide appeared, everyone within the Yu family leadership, including Yu Cheng, was shocked. Could this really be the favored son of the Tao, causing the second layer Tao tide so shortly after the first, in just 100 years? All the high-level members of the Yu family felt a tingle on their scalps. And Yu Cheng also regretted it. He had originally thought that Lu Yi's ability to cause a Tao tide was a rare talent, and that there shouldn't be any possibility to induce such an anomaly again in the future. Thus, Yu Cheng didn't mention anything about shielding with a great array to Lu Yi. But who could have anticipated that, just after a mere century, it would happen again? When the second Tao tide arrived, Yu Cheng deeply regretted not talking to Lu Yi about the great array at the time. Unfortunately, it was already too late. It was impossible, after all, to disrupt Lu Yi's enlightenment state. Thus, Yu Cheng could only suffer happily while enjoying the impact of such a Tao tide. Then, having gained insights and a much deeper understanding of the power of Tao, Yu Cheng entered seclusion. 30 years later, while in closed-door cultivation, Lu Yi suddenly sensed an incredibly rich surge of immortal spirit qi emanating from a nearby room. His eyes snapped open, gleaming with streaks of brilliance. Was this a profound immortal-level aura? Lu Yi vanished from the spot and appeared in the sky, where he saw a streak of light shooting rapidly towards the heavens. It was the Ling Luo Peak Master. Currently, the aura of Ling Luo Peak Master was fluctuating violently, indicating a fresh breakthrough to the profound immortal level. In the sky, the weight of the Tao pressed down, heralding the immortal thunder tribulation. The aura fluctuations of the profound immortal seeped out, affecting a vast area. Numerous cultivators rose into the air, including Liu Ningxuang and 3 others who were in the midst of cultivation and seclusion. However, due to the high-level golden immortals being in closed death seclusion to reflect on the Taoist opportunities, few came out. The group flew towards Jade Star and stopped at a distance to watch the Ling Luo Peak Master's breakthrough. The storm clouds in the starry sky churned, and Lu Yi felt the power of laws surging within those clouds. In his eyes, colorful lights emerged, altering his vision. Through his vision, the storm clouds in the starry sky condensed from myriad Tao runes, echoing the aura of the breaking through Ling Luo Peak Master. The Tao runes flickered uncertainly, and eventually took the form of the law powers the Ling Luo Peak Master had cultivated and comprehended. This was the immortal thunder tribulation, corresponding to the law powers comprehended by the cultivator. Every thunder tribulation consisted of lawful heavenly thunder, which was an extremely terrifying type of tribulation, entirely composed of laws. Similarly, after overcoming the immortal thunder tribulation, one's understanding of the laws would receive feedback from the Tao, improving the power of laws to some degree. Misfortune and fortune are interconnected. Lu Yi observed the Ling Luo Peak Master, whose body was enveloped by flickering and profoundly mysterious law patterns. As a prodigy of the Yu family, Ling Luo Peak Master's mastery of the laws was naturally quite exceptional. She had cultivated her understanding to about 50%, give or take. This was much stronger than a typical cultivator who had just entered the profound immortal level, and might not even be inferior to some new golden immortals. With such a grasp of the laws, combined with Ling Luo Peak Master's own combat strength, she would naturally not face too many difficulties against such an immortal thunder tribulation. The immortal thunder containing dreamlike powers fell like endless illusions, wielding terrifying force. Having spent so many years with the Yu family, Lu Yi naturally understood that the Yu family's ancestral immortal scripture was called the Great Illusion Immortal Scripture, which delved into the spiritual law. Chapter 631-299, Profound Immortal Thunder Tribulation, Eager to Return to. Chapter 631, Chapter 299, Profound Immortal Thunder Tribulation, Eager to Return /2. Using spiritual power to construct dreams, and then materializing those dreams into reality, even turning them into bizarre worlds of dreams, an extraordinary immortal technique. It could be said to be infinitely powerful. After mastering all of the golden immortal skills, Lu Yi visited the book storage pavilion to search for immortal scriptures, and in passing, he also learned this immortal scripture. For this reason, Lu Yi even mastered the spiritual law. It could be said that his gains were substantial. However, his strength in the spiritual law was not high, and now, as he observed the Ling Luo Peak Master breaking through, he felt deeply enlightened, and the spiritual law he previously mastered also improved. Heavenly tribulation thunder continually fell, and Ling Luo Peak Master showcased her extremely powerful talent and strength. A variety of immortal techniques emerged one after another, and various dream worlds unfolded, absorbing and blending each and every immortal thunder. Her black hair danced wildly, her aura became more and more powerful and stable. As a direct prodigy of the Yu family, Ling Luo Peak Master's strength and talent were considered top-notch throughout the entire sky falling star domain, even including the Yu family. She seemed very relaxed getting through the profound immortal tribulation. After a long time, the clouds of the immortal thunder tribulation gradually dissipated, and the heavenly tribulation was over. Ling Luo Peak Master's aura was slightly weakened. Even after breaking through to the profound immortal level, facing such immortal thunder, the consumption was still quite substantial. She let out a slight breath, then transformed into a beam of light, arriving next to Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang, among others. She raised her eyebrows slightly, her expression somewhat smug. "Little brat, how about it? Your master is still quite strong, isn't she?" Lu Yi nodded earnestly. Master is indeed worthy of being master, with exceptional talent. Congratulations to Master on breaking through to profound immortal. Congratulations to Master, we celebrate for Master. Liu Ningxuang and the others also smiled and congratulated her. Off to the side, Yu Yuanwu curled his lips, somewhat displeased with his second sister's smug look. Thinking about it, he knew, after ascending to the second rank of profound immortal level, his elder brother would be even stronger. When father comes out of seclusion, he would definitely get scolded again, right? With this thought, Yu Yunwu felt even more annoyed. Then his eyes lit up as he thought of something, and he laughed heartily. "Right, second sister," father said, "once you come out of seclusion, he will arrange your engagement with your brother-in-law." Lu Ye, Liu Ningxuang and the others. Ling Luo Peak Master. Everyone was stunned, staring bewilderedly at Yu Yuanwu. Lu Yi didn't even know when an engagement had been mentioned. Ling Luo Peak Master, needless to say, had been in seclusion breaking through. Ling Luo Peak Master's pretty face twitched suddenly and her ears turned a bit red. She glared at Lu Yi next to her, then glanced around with a sense of guilt. Seeing that Yu Xin wasn't there, she breathed a sigh of relief, then said, "Where's the old man?" "Oh, father is still in seclusion. Recently, your brother-in-law entered the legendary enlightenment state twice in a row, and father, along with the ancestor and others, have had profound enlightenments, all gone into seclusion. They will probably come out in a few hundred years. Hearing this, Ling Luo Peak Master was astounded, her eyes widening as she looked at Lu Yi incredulously. Enlightenment state? Isn't that the state said to be entered only by the lucky immortal kings and immortal emperors? You brat actually entered the enlightenment state, and twice. Ling Luo Peak Master originally thought that, after her breakthrough to the profound immortal level, she could maintain some authority as a master and properly discipline her disciple. Because ever since Lu Yi had displayed his powerful strength, Ling Luo Peak Master had not dared to flick Lu Yi's forehead, fearing that he might retaliate with a beating. If that were to happen, she would be infuriated to death. A master's dignity was still necessary. Now that she finally had a chance to flick his forehead again, but just as she came out, she heard this news. Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi, unable to comprehend. What kind of monster was this brat? Yu Yuanwu nodded. Yes, both father and the ancestors say your brother-in-law has the makings of an immortal emperor. Originally, the Yu family ancestor and others expected Lu Yi to reach the immortal king level. But in 100 years, having triggered the Tao Tide twice, they felt immortal king was no big deal. Immortal emperor was Lu Yi's limit. Hearing this, Ling Luo Peak Master didn't know what to say for a moment. Immortal emperor, with such talent, was this kid really her disciple? No wonder the old man insisted on marrying her to this kid. Even she felt it would be inhuman to not marry him now. Wait a minute, you Ling Luo, you are this kid's master. How could you have such thoughts? What kind of master allows their disciples to be bullied? She thought of the cultivation technique Donggong Ming Yue mentioned earlier, and her mouth twitched. The Ling Luo Peak Master's mind was swarmed with various thoughts, but she shook her head and glared at Yu Yuanwu. You brat, what are you calling him? Brother-in-law. Don't throw around titles carelessly or your sister will beat you to death, you little rascal. Yu Yuanwu wanted to say something more, but the Ling Luo Peak Master turned to look at Lu Yi and the 4 Liu Ningxuangs. Let's go, let's head back first. Lu Yi and the 4 Liu Ningxuangs, seeing the crestfallen face of Yu Yuanwu, nodded speechlessly in agreement. All right then. The group returned to their residence, and the Ling Luo Peak Master surveyed the surroundings, casting a final glance in Yu Xin's direction, feeling somewhat guilty. Then she conveyed through a message to Lu Yi and the others, let's pack up and leave Jade Star. Lu Yi and the 4 Liu Ningxuangs were all taken aback. Donggong Mingyue couldn't understand. Master, we're doing just fine here, why leave? The Ling Luo Peak Master's mouth twitched. Of course, she was afraid the old man would come out, tie her up, and force her to share a bridal chamber with Lu Yi. The Ling Luo Peak Master didn't voice her thoughts but simply smiled. We've been out and about for a while now, and since the ancestor is in seclusion, staying here won't get Lu Yi any guidance from him, so it's unnecessary. Why not go back to Tiananmen? What, have you gotten reluctant to return to Tiananmen after leaving? Upon hearing this, Lu Yi and the 5 others' eyes lit up. Jade Star was nice, but Tiananmen was, after all, where they were born and raised, their root. Having been away for nearly 200 years, it indeed was time to go back and see how things were. Lu Yi thought of his parents and wondered how they were doing and whether their cultivation bases had improved. Thinking of the White Cloud sect, he wondered how the sect was faring and if there had been any developments. The 4 Liu Ningxuangs beside him were also lost in thought about their families and relatives back in Tiananmen. For a moment they all longed deeply to return. Then let's go back, Lu Yi said with a smile. The 4 Liu Ningxuangs nodded in agreement. Isn't that right? It's so much better to be back in Tiananmen, free and easy, said the Ling Luo Peak Master with a smile. She felt a sense of relief in her heart. In Tiananmen, no one would be there to control her. Truth be told, she didn't dislike Lu Yi. Having spent so much time together, Lu Yi's talents were extremely high, and his personality was agreeable. Even she thought that Lu Yi was a rare choice for a Taoist couple. But after all, their relationship was that of teacher and student, and the Ling Luo Peak Master simply couldn't get over this hurdle. It felt strange. The Ling Luo Peak Master planned to head back to Tiananmen first and put things off for as long as possible. The group packed their belongings, and then Lu Yi took out the Red Sun boat ready to leave. At that moment, Yu Yuanwu suddenly rushed over, eyes wide. Second sister, are you trying to flee? I'm going to tell father. Yu Yuanwu had been tasked by Yu Xin to keep an eye on Yu Lingluo. It must be said, As Yu Lingluo's father, Yu Xin knew his daughter's character too well. Yu Yuanwu really wanted to see his second sister being dominated by her brother-in-law. How could he pass up such an exciting drama? He volunteered himself for this task with determination. Upon hearing Yu Yuanwu's words, the Ling Luo Peak Master's face changed, and without a second thought, she waved her hand and the boundless immortal spirit power surged, creating a dreamlike world that engulfed Yu Yuanwu. Yu Yuanwu didn't even have the chance to squeak. The Ling Luo Peak Master collected her sleeves and said calmly, "Let's go." Lu Yi and the four Liu Ningxuangs. They looked at the Ling Luo Peak Master's sleeves with odd expressions on their faces. Yuanwu, Lu Yi hesitated, about to speak, when he saw the Ling Luo Peak Master's deep gaze. He grinned and said, "All right, Master, let's go." He silently mourned for Yu Yuanwu in his heart for a few seconds. That kid was too unfortunate. Afterward, the group boarded the Red Sun boat, turned into a streak of light and left Jade Star, heading for Tiananmen.